This is episode whatever, but definitely episode 3 of the Red Leaf Retrocast Anime Edition, the Worldwide Weebcast. We've come to a consensus. That is the name. We have a new little logo that our senior person has made, slash Joe. It's very good. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I was bored, man.
No, you worked really hard, and everyone needs to praise you because you're the senior person.
Grandpa.
Oh, wait. Sorry.
Even though I'm the oldest, I'm pretty sure on this cast.
Your grandpa's grandpa. That's fine.
Fucking weeb.
Oh, man. So yeah, if the audience, you would just listen to the intro of His and Her Circumstances. Yes, that is the anime we're covering. An anime that came out in the late 90s. It was Joe's pick, because he wanted to pick an anime that possibly we'd all disagree on this time around, since we went 2 in a row with praising thoughts and reviews. And you'll hear more on that, and as a disclaimer, we do spoil the living shit out of shows. So as we go through the show more and more, you will hear more spoilers of the show. But honestly, you can't really spoil this show.
Oh no, a show that's nearly 20 years old is gonna get spoiled? Oh my god.
Yeah. So honestly, we don't care here. We just like talking about the shows. Our topics we're gonna go over today is fluff in anime, and you'll hear more about that later. And something you, Joe, are very passionate about, and that is something we're seeing a rise of, and that is the tragic girlfriend, which is kind of becoming a trope and a theme in anime.
Well, of course it's becoming a trope. It's a good way to get all the weebs to cry.
Yeah, so we're just as a disclaimer, if you're a fan of Anohana, Clannad, or Your Lie in April, for example, and you're butthurt about anything negative coming out of those shows, you might not want to listen, because we'll probably rip those apart, even though we are fans of the shows.
No, I'm not.
Well, some of them.
Some of us are.
Some of us are normal.
Some of us are normal.
Don't be making jokes
boy.
like that.
So I am JD, otherwise known as Jock Up Now, because it's been a rough couple weeks since the past podcast.
You don't say.
It's some personal things have happened. I do not want to go into it, but I'm in a bad mood. And now that other anime in the spring season has come to a close, I'm in an even more bad mood because some shows are absolute dumpster fires. So, Hickey, what have you been up to? Hickey?
Well, I haven't been doing anything great with my life. It's basically work, and work.
Awesome, so just as pissed off as me.
I imagine studying to be a lawyer isn't exactly the easiest shit, so.
Yeah.
And somehow you still scrape time to watch this shit.
Of course I have. I always have time to watch shit. Talking about watching shit, I watched the first episode of Hinalogi from Luck and Logic, and it's gonna be a rough one.
No. Is that a show from the summer season coming up here?
Yeah, it's the first one to release. It's on Crunchyroll. You don't need to watch it. Yeah, Crunchyroll has a show, and it's not good.
It's not a spin-off of Lock and Logic.
It is.
Which is
It
also
is
not
a
a good
spin-off
show.
of Luck and Logic.
The positivity is rolling this morning. Oh no. It's funny you bring that up, because I was doing some brainstorming, and I figured it'd be fun, since we're not a seasonal podcast, that we just kind of have our own little segments dedicated to what we do individually. And Hickey, since you're watching everything, you are the man who watches everything, I figured you'd be the perfect guy to kind of update us on the seasonal stuff.
Great.
And so for the first show you've watched, it's getting just screaming reviews.
Oh yeah, it's just.
That is a good sign. What else came out today? Was it Welcome to the Ballroom or some other garbage or something?
I don't know. I
Kakegurui
have
is
to
coming
look
out
it up.
later.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's on Netflix, so I'm gonna actually hold off because I like what Netflix puts out.
I will steal the shit out of that show. I want it bad. I want it so bad.
Well, I waited long enough for Little Witch Academia myself, and I am very happy with it. The only thing they didn't do was have a German dub, which I was kind of upset about, but I got over it, and it's still very good.
And you're still gonna steal the second half of the show, because they only released 13 episodes.
Yeah, I'm not sure why they did that. So, anyways, moving on to our next senior person. Joe, we still don't have a segment for you yet.
Yeah, you're right, man. Well, we're spitballing ideas, but whatever. All I've been doing all week is playing fighting games and getting blasted. Absolutely blasted.
Yeah. I met so we all come together in a Discord channel, and I was meeting up with somebody who's visiting Toronto. We went out for drinks, and on the way, I'm riding my bike, and Joe is just the most hammered. Do tell.
I'm shocked I didn't get alcohol poisoning.
It felt like that was your goal.
It might have been.
Jesus.
No one's killing me but me, alright? No one.
Oh, no.
A lot of fighting games, a lot of Tekken 7. I wound up fucking up and buying 4 copies of Skullgirls, wound up giving those out.
And I didn't receive a
King
single
Fighters
one of
13.
them.
Yeah, I know. As soon as I was done, I was going to buy you one. That's the fucked up part. But then you're like, oh, I was thinking about buying it. Oh, okay, good. I don't have to. Great.
Yeah.
Steam Summer Sale is strong, everybody. Taking all of my money.
Nothing's really popped out on the Steam Summer Sale to me, but I did get King of Fighters 13.
Whooping that ass.
Well, I think my record's 1-30.
Nice.
I've
Nice.
won once.
Nice. Good job, JD.
I beat someone online faster than I could beat anyone I know.
Welcome to fighting
Not
games.
right. Oh, God.
Well, to be fair,
Yeah.
me and Skeeth on the Discord, we're fucking losers anyway, so it's not shocking you didn't beat us.
Yeah, when you guys start talking about frame rates, I go, I don't like fighting games that much.
True.
I believe Tori was telling us the other day, like, it's like you're speaking Mandarin. It's like
Literally.
you're not even speaking English at me anymore.
I'm just seeing them like
no.
saying like a bunch of random like letters and half words and not even real words, and I'm like, no.
All these
sorry.
words separately, I know, but once you throw them together like that,
No.
I don't
Some of
fucking
those
get it.
words I don't even understand by themselves.
great.
Oh, boy. Yeah, well, me and a guy named Justin from Alberta, we met up at a place called the Rec Room. This was shortly after you died in bed, Joe.
I was alive, man.
'Cause you just went no response immediately out of nowhere. Just Joe.
Is he alive?
Don't leave me. You alive? He's dead, guys.
What?
But yeah, this place called the Rec Room just opened like 3 days ago, and it's just a place where you get drunk, and there's a ton of arcade games. They even have a Mario Kart Deluxe arcade cabinets going there. They got old Daytona USA cabinets. It's really cool, lots of fun. We got totally blasted there, popped open a bottle of Jameson, and took some shots. His screen name's Whiskey, but he likes rum, so I didn't buy him rum. I bought whiskey. Thought it was only appropriate. And we hung out the last couple days. We had ramen. We visited I took him to the Maid Cafe here in Toronto. And I was kind of posting pictures. It was pretty funny. We were the only white people there.
It was really cute.
Yeah, good anime intro songs playing in the background. We noticed the NHK intro was playing. 2 songs later, it was followed by Clannad, and that was kind of our cue to leave.
Oh, come on.
Oh, but it's
love
so
music.
sad.
It is.
I don't want
winter
tears in
disease
my
is strong.
omoros. Come on, Clannad music's not that bad.
Dongo, dongo.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna cry.
if a dongo was a cheesecake, I definitely ate its face.
Oh, no.
Ooh.
The Dongo Daikazoku remix by fucking Busta Rhymes is great, okay?
You're right, it is, and we should totally link that in the show notes.
And then Tori,
Yes.
hello.
Hi.
You're from Norway.
I am.
That's a very
you're right.
positive country. You
It
have
is.
positive things to talk about, right?
I mean, I
No.
can talk about my. I don't have positive things to talk about, but I can talk about my quest. The thing
Yes.
that I'm doing for the forum that we're on.
Yeah, totally not copied from anyone else you know.
Absolutely not. Completely original idea. Shut up, JD. No,
Someone who has been doing it for 2 years? Just no, it couldn't have been me.
couldn't
No,
have been me.
never.
I
No,
definitely
couldn't be.
didn't just go to your post, copy everything you wrote in your opening post either, and paste it in on my own. Never. I wouldn't do that.
You wouldn't do that. You're a better person.
Yep.
Pumped mine through Yoda speech simulator.
Yeah. No, I mean, but yeah, basically what I'm doing is I'm doing a quest where I'm watching anime from every decade, starting in the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, all the way up until 2016. I'm coming to the end of the 70s, and the most recent show I watched was a show from 1978 called Future Boy Conan.
Yay.
So that was a show. Show directed by Hayao Miyazaki, which, for those that know me, will know that I'm not the biggest Miyazaki fan. I don't dislike his work, but I always feel kind of underwhelmed watching them, at least compared to what everybody else tells me I should feel when I watch them, which is, the best thing ever, and I'm just there like, it's good. I don't dislike it, but, I'm not blown away either. And Future Boy Conan, for me, kind of falls into that same place, with a few differences. And the number one thing is, I think, and I pretty much said this, I think this Future Boy Conan is a show that, especially if you're a fan of Miyazaki, you owe yourself to watch. For a 70s show, it looks great. You wouldn't believe it's a 70s show. It is, it looks really good. And
I mentioned that show quite a bit myself. I think it's at least 10 years ahead of its time, easily. I mean, shit, it looks better than certain shows from 1998.
It looks better than a certain show from 2016.
You leave South Park alone.
That wasn't the show I was thinking about, but thank you for bringing that up.
Close enough.
Yes, it is. For me, it was a really enjoyable show, visually really appealing. Like for a TV production, especially a 70s TV production, it looks incredibly good with very few hiccups. Only hiccups I noticed really was some less than stellar animation of debris falling into the water towards the end. But it's we're talking on episode 26 or 25 or
Right.
whatever. And then you have one scene where it's it looks a bit no no in-between frames, just the keyframes. And it's I can deal with that. That's a small price to pay.
Yeah.
So seeing
I'm
as how I
glad-
actually read what you write about these shows, it seems to me like the 70s is a really feast or famine decade for you. Either you really like the shows or you really just aren't feeling them.
Yeah, no, that's kind of it. You have, what do I have, 2 shows, I think, that I enjoyed, and the rest are kind of average or below.
I was kind
So
of the same way, actually.
Yeah, so it's it's one of those things, if you can find, that really good show, the Ashita no Joe, which we've already talked about, or the, Future Boy Conan, and what I'm hoping that Akage no An, or Anne of Green Gables, which is the one I'm started right now, what I'm hoping that is going to be as well. So it's if you can find those shows, you're going for a good time. However, just realize there's a lot, or not even a lot because there's not a lot of shows, but there are a decent amount of not so good. And
I
especially
noticed
if
you
you're
didn't watch it. I noticed you didn't watch any Super Robot.
Yeah, that's
from
kind
the
of the thing, right?
70s.
So I'm not a big into robots and mecha and stuff like that, so I kind of wanted to stay away from that. The 2 things I tried to stay away from was robots as far as I could, and very long shows, 100 plus episode shows, unless they come on special recommendations. I try to stay away from that, even though I'm not. The quest doesn't entail me that I have to finish a show, but I like finishing shows. I don't go into shows expecting to drop them.
Yeah. Well, myself, I wanted to see shows that were also kind of in my preferred genres. So I was watching the Galaxy Express, the Captain Harlock, and those were on the late 70s. I really enjoyed those myself, but you kind of avoided a lot of shows like that.
Yeah,
which, as Joe said earlier, it's feast or famine at that point.
basically.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, everything he's enjoyed has been, legendary series.
Basically.
I mean, you could
Lupin
say they're. they're
Lupin the
definitely
Third,
legendary, but
Ashita no
just,
Joe, Future
but
Boy
no
Conan.
one's. But no one's watched those anymore.
They're still
Anymore,
legendary.
You're right. But
It's
that's kind of
it's sad.
it's one of
like,
those
oh,
things-
it's old. I don't want to watch them.
Well, I mean,
I
no
know-
one's read the Canterbury Tales, but it's still legendary.
Yeah,
Right.
it's one of those things. It's like it's kind of hard to expect people, especially people getting into it now, to just immediately go back and look to the 70s. Of course, they're going to start off rummaging around in the late 2000s and like 2017s and 16s and whatnot. That's kind of what you get. I agree. Like, it gets annoying when you meet those people that have been watching anime for multiple years and they've pretty much watched everything from the 2000s, and they've kind of got into this mindset of, I still don't want to watch anything from pre-2000, so I'm just starting to rewatch everything and waiting for new shows. That's like, you're missing out.
Yeah, and they kind of just they might touch on the late 90s at most.
Yeah.
To be
Are you
fair,
guys
I'm of the
describing
opinion
it-
that the 90s are
no?
some of the...
Okay.
No, not at all. Yes, we are.
I'm of the opinion that the mid to late 90s are some of the best years of anime. But that's
Oh,
mostly because of my bias. So
I agree, and I'm also biased towards that. That was like, I mean, that's one of those situations that I look and I'm like, 90s for me, pretty good. I've enjoyed most 90s stuff I've watched, and I got introduced to anime through Cowboy Bebop. I think the 90s has the best for like character designs and art styles and everything. And I'm like, am I completely objective when it comes to that? Nope. I'm biased as hell.
well, I'm not objective on anything. It's all my opinion.
I know,
Unless I
but it's
support it
one
with
of those things,
fact,
like,
everything's opinion.
true. Nah, but it's one of
It's a
those things,
shame
like,
that Tori's opinion facts are much more weighted than yours, Joe.
Oh, it's fine. Don't worry. I'm used to getting sandbagged. As a matter of fact, I fill my own sandbags.
Oh man. Oh god. Well, I'm glad you found some good shows, Tori, in the 70s that you've enjoyed. Because honestly, when you do go watch any show, you never know if you're gonna truly like it or not.
True. Which
Well,
is
the
why
biggest
I felt,
problem in
felt
the
myself,
70s. Biggest
why I
problem in the
felt-
70s is trying to
Go.
find shows that have actually been subbed.
That too.
Because
that is ridiculous, Joe.
there's a couple series I really wanted to watch, like Star of the Giants, Attack Number 1, and you just can't find them. You can find like the first 2 or 3 episodes, but that's
Joe,
it. Everyone
you're gonna be-
stopped.
Joe, you're going to be so glad because Attack Number 1 is at least slowly getting subbed.
Good.
Very
Maybe they'll
slowly,
start
but it's
playing
happening.
volleyball soon.
Maybe. Yeah, no. I mean, but I've kind of come to this point where it's like, that's what you're saying. Like, I'm kind of rummaging in the dark for what to watch. Like, I'm not really sure what to expect, especially since I have, like, tried to stay away from robots, trying to stay away from long shows. I kind of end up like maybe this is going to appeal to me if I can find it. Then I look it up and find it. But then I also feel myself just sitting there like, come on, get the 1980s just come around right now, because 1980s starts for me with Ashita no Joe 2. I'm like, I know I can look forward to that, so just get there already.
Yeah, I'm still searching around for Star of the Giants. So if any of our listeners somehow has a English subbed version of that, drop me a link. I'll watch it. Otherwise, I'm gonna start watching the Raws with the manga next to me.
There you go.
It's a very interesting way to watch something.
You gotta do what you gotta do, man.
You can learn Japanese and then you can watch.
Yeah, or Italian.
True.
Totally subbed in Italian for some reason.
There's a lot of shows I'm noticing that are being subbed in Italian.
I find it funny as well. That's like my favorite show, Aria. It's dubbed in Italian. It's like, well, nice.
We're gonna go back to shows about nothing. Great.
Well, that is a nice segue for our next topic.
Oh, it's true.
Aww.
JD.
Yeah, well, my little segment's just gonna be what I'm dubbing kind of the shonen update, since there's a lot of shows I've wanted to watch and catch up on. So I just put a list together to fill in the gaps, since the summer season is kind of that watch your backlog kind of season it's looking like. So I got Detective Conan, One Piece. I'm gonna finally finish Fairy Tail. I think I'm only like 50-60 episodes away from that. I'm gonna continue with Gintama. I'm actually rewatching Prince of Tennis, and then I'm gonna watch Toriko, that I've never seen before. So if our listeners are a fan of shonen, I'll be just updating with just basic thoughts and how I feel the shonens are. The shonen shows. Simple enough, right?
The shonen genre, yes.
Yeah.
Even
Since
though
I'm the only one on
straight
this
up a
podcast that
demographic.
listens to that
Genre,
stuff,
guys.
or
Oh my
listens, watches.
god.
You're right. It's a straight demographic, but whatever. I mean, if we want to call it a genre, that's fine with me.
I don't care.
No,
I think-
shonen's not a
You know, I think
genre.
when
Stop.
I think someone's. Come on, I think when someone says like moe or shonen, you know what they're talking about. What you can picture the show immediately.
Of course.
Well, of course you can. That's why
Yeah.
I'm okay with it being a genre.
Yeah. Yep. So fun. You guys ready to rip apart some topics here?
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
We'll do it.
Sure.
Okay. What would you like to do first? The fluff or the tragic girlfriend?
Let's go through fluff.
Go through fluff.
Yeah, sure.
All right. So as a basic definition or kind of mindset of what fluff is in anime, normally you would go immediately to maybe cute girls doing cute things, but that's not necessarily the only case. And Hickey, you and I were talking about it in more detail in, for example, mech shows or action shows.
Yes.
The way. Well, why don't you just take it from there?
You should really warn me beforehand. Before throwing something on my lap, because I was just, yeah. And then, why don't you go from here? I was like, wait, what? So, anyway.
Well, why not?
Come on,
You are
Hickey.
also on the show.
Well,
Yeah, come on,
yeah,
Hickey.
but you're the host. Oh, well, yes. I guess you're just doing your job. Shit.
Hickey.
He cut out.
We lost him again.
Oh
Alright,
no.
So basically, I mean, you can describe fluff as fan service or just something generally not necessary to the story at all. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. Like, for instance, back in the day, OVAs used to be, well, they're still canon, but they used to actually have story in them. Now they tend to be either like beach episodes or just fluff or a fucking walk in the park or a date or something. Something that's not, you don't need to know at all.
I would also expand on that with I've actually seen it in an anime that came out recently, and it's not the first one to do this, and that's where the story does end before the credits hit in that last episode, and then a show will cut. Maybe more than likely it'll do a time skip, and then that ending that you had is then immediately ruined, whether that be emotion felt, kind of closing out the story, letting the viewer kind of hope or decide what they've seen, and then there's that time skip or something else happens that ruins it all. So,
Well,
for example, there's plenty of romance shows out there that the show will end on a sad note, right? It's like, oh, will they or won't they continue the relationship or get together? And then it'll time skip after the credits and show them together as adults doing something.
like an
To
epilogue.
me, it's really to me pointless.
I don't know, man. There's some epilogues I really liked. For instance, the epilogue to Amagami SS, which is, if everyone remembers Seiren, this is the better version of it, because things actually happen in this series. Oh, we lost Hickey.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, apparently he's got to like restart his computer or internet or something.
well, where you have, there's this charged romantic moment, and they go through with the Christmas date thing, and then you get a time skip, and they're married and they're together, and now Amagami SS. This isn't really a spoiler because this is a like choose your way kind of story, so everyone gets their own route, and they all get adapted. It's actually a very interesting way to do it. I really liked it, and I really didn't like Seiren. Who would have thought? And that epilogue was done very well, where it kind of flowed in and it all made sense. But with the show I believe you're talking about, they threw plot magic at you 3 times, and I mean, what are you supposed to do? You can't put something together when, like, nothing has been contextualized through the story. It's not believable, and it hinders any kind of enjoyment you had or anything you were trying to put together in your head. It basically just undercuts the fan base. You're treating your fans as, stupid. You're treating them like, how, you didn't see this coming. You know why? Because you couldn't. Because it was impossible. Because we threw bullshit at you.
I was actually referring to a different show, but now that you bring that one up, for those who don't know, Joe was talking about my opinion over Kato, which is a science-driven show, and that show focuses on fluff, in which here's a bunch of terms that you don't understand, we're going to set rules in the universe, and then we're going to break them with things that make zero sense, and just fill in time with explaining something that they're just making up. Basically, it feels like it's on the spot.
Yeah.
That is just the worst thing you can do in a science show.
That
Or a
was
science-driven type of show.
You're just undercutting anyone who's trying to make the story make sense in their head, making it just impossible.
Yeah.
It's absolutely impossible.
That's what we were talking the other day, JD, before my connection issues interrupt us.
Right.
You have the suspension of disbelief, and sometimes with these feelings, which you call fluff, it kind of breaks your suspension of disbelief. In Karo, you say like a bunch of terms you don't comprehend, and if you comprehend, they are dumb or just wrong. You can't take the show serious anymore.
Right.
You can immerse yourself into that fantasy world because of that. The same would be like the Urge. The show, you need to go save someone or go save a place. And they have, I don't know, a stupid episode where they just go to a cafe or something like that. You just stop and say, wait, weren't you like very stressed and almost breaking down because you should save some place or save someone and now you're in a cafe? Or something like that. Also...
Now, it's funny you bring up that specific thing because we're seeing a lot of shows just pulling off random cafe talks in shows, and Tori and I have experienced what we were watching an episode of Recreators.
Oh, was
that's a
that
very
true?
recent show.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they proceed to have two characters have a serious conversation in the UFO table cafe.
UFO table, yeah.
We're both going, what? Why there? What is the point of this? Why?
I can suspend my disbelief that they just wanted to eat. The problem is it's constant in Recreators that they always go eat somewhere and just talk about what's happening instead of contextualizing things or having it happen on the spot. You don't always talk in cafes, so why is every conversation in this series seem to take place in a cafe? None are on the street. None are in a couple are in someone's room. But I mean, these people apparently can only talk while eating, and that's a problem.
Yeah. However, I want to throw in something as well. And that's I'm not sure if anybody even remembers this show. A show called Blade and Soul.
Okay.
Came out in 2014. Now they did something very, very weird in terms of fluff, and that was, I don't remember if the show was 12 or 13 episodes, but the point is, sorry, the second to last episode was the last episode of the show. The last episode was a side story / hot spring story, completely
Clannad pulled that shit too.
Completely irrelevant to anything that's going on. We have no idea, when this takes place or anything, as far as I remember at least. But it's kind of just, oh yeah, they sort of end it. They don't really end it, but it sort of ends, and then it's the next episode is, Hot Springs episode. Why? Why not?
Clannad did the exact same thing when I was watching it, because I was watching it. It had an ending to that particular arc and story, and the very next episode was a beach episode, and I was told, no, that's an OVA. I was like, no, that's the last episode in the show. And it has no purpose to what I just witnessed. It was pure 100% fluff. And the marks will love it if they're into that show, and it's a growing trend where the fans want this fluff to be in there, just for the sake of either seeing characters do, just sticking with romance because that's the most used genre I would feel that uses fluff. They just want to see characters have cute smiles, do cute things. They want that feeling of softness. Or shit, we're watching, Tori, you and I are watching Kimi no Todoke.
Yeah. And
that show is 90, I would say 95% fluff. Where Hickey, were you the one that said it looks like an atomic plant exploded glitter in the show at all times?
Yeah, that was me.
That's a good.
I mean, it was the only way for me to.
When he said it.
Yeah, it was the only way for me to keep watching the show because it made everything more fun.
Oh
But like,
my god.
my opinion on fluff, like you guys are talking, is different. So yes, we're disagreeing on something. Finally.
Well, no, I don't think we're disagreeing. It's just how different genres.
I didn't even
hit
state my opinion, man. How can you disagree with me when it didn't say anything?
Let him talk, JD. Let him
All
talk.
right,
JD, come on,
I'm
JD.
sorry.
But no, I think everything is important to a story. I think let's talk about Recreators because I guess this is a newer show, although this is a retrocast, but it's a show we all watched, and we all know about the cafe scenes. I think they're important to tell a story. I think they're important to talk about the characters. When you're eating with someone, it's the first time you're gonna eat with someone. I don't know, lunch or something. Don't you notice what the other person is doing? How it holds the fork, how it holds the knife, what they are eating. So I think it's character construction. Everything adds something to the show. Everything adds something to the story. The problem is the amount of times you make the same point over and over and over and over and again. What happens in Recreators, they eat a lot. I know how those characters eat. I know why they're eating because they explain why the characters eat a lot. But there are other things I want to see. I want to see then how they run, how they walk, how they look at something. What are the thoughts on other things? The problem is they're making the same point over and over and over again with them eating, and at some point that becomes fluff because it is adding the same thing to the story. It's not adding anything new. So the first time, second time, there's a limit you can have with those scenes. After this limit, it's just, fluff.
Yeah.
I can get behind that.
Well, for instance, my issue with Recreators is if I wanted to watch an audiobook, as weird as that sounds, I would listen to an audiobook. They've done too much telling, and they haven't really showed me anything.
That's not even like my problem. That's not even like just the fact that they're talking too much. Because I feel like I'm one of those weird guys. I can deal with a decent amount of like exposition. Hell, I watched the first episode of like Fate Zero, that's a 40-minute episode, and I was so interested in that episode, even though everybody hates it because it's literally nothing but exposition. However, my problem with Recreators in particular and the way they do things is they spend so much time talking together and eating, and not even just eating, just talking, sitting down, having a conversation, that it essentially becomes the show is about them talking together, pretty much. Even though it claims to be an action show, but apart from the occasional action scene, I disagree. And what it does, it creates problems. They have created, like the main conflict in the anime came up through them talking. Literally, the main conflict, the thing they're trying to avoid from happening, was something that they came up with simply by talking to each other. It's a theory that they don't even know. They haven't checked to see if this is real, if this is actually happening. It's just one character all of a sudden went, wait, if we're all here, isn't that going to mess with everything here? That sounds logical. Yes, that's probably what's going to happen. lo and behold, that's what's happening. It's like, there's nothing that suggests that they should come up with this. They kind of just talk their way to this conclusion, and then...
Are you suggesting that the amount, kind of touching on what Hickey was saying, was the amount of doing the same thing over and over again becomes fluff, and that's what Recreators is consistently doing is...
Yes, it becomes fluff.
Even their conversations become fluff.
Yes, it becomes fluff. It becomes fluff, even because it's like, they don't have time, because if they spend so much time talking to each other, it essentially, like... It essentially makes it so that the show doesn't even have time to move forward. Like, it can't present these things, like how the world structure is falling apart and how people are going to be booted from the world or whatever. They don't have time to establish these things because they're too busy focusing on these characters, sitting here talking about potential problems and potential solutions. It's like, you don't go anywhere. You're not. It kind of eventually something's going to happen to have the movie. Go forward. Something has to happen to have like the story progress. Mm-hmm. However, it's kind of like they kind of just eventually reach this point where it's like, there we go. Now the story's progressed. Let's move on.
So I'd like to also, Joe, you wanted to say something?
Oh yeah, it's that's kind of the issue though. People are portraying the excuse that everything they're saying is plot relevant, so that makes it fine. It doesn't make it fine. You need to. You can't just tell me everything. Yeah. Like, you were bringing up Fate Zero in the 40-minute exposition episode, but that's just it. That was it. That's all the exposition. The rest was action and, there was monologuing, but I mean, the monologuing was interesting. It wasn't monotone. It wasn't worthless.
Yeah.
Recreators did it. Wasn't a single person on screen with their lips flapping.
Recreators did it so much that now, no matter what they say, it's worthless until they do something on screen for me. Because I just don't care. I don't care about your theories. And they break rules, but I mean, other than that, I just don't care.
So we've touched on romance with what they do in fluff, whether that's epic staring, wind blowing, just nothing happening on the screen, but it's just you see the characters do nothing, but people watching it think they're doing something. We've touched on action shows. Diverting more towards conversation or doing the same thing over and over again, becoming fluff. I'd like to go into the mech genre, whether it's robots, it's space operas, anything like that. And Hickey, when we were just kind of going over it and going back to the suspension of disbelief, you were mentioning along the lines of going towards the science being established. And then things happening. It's not so much plot magic, but it happens so often and breaking the universe, so to say, that also becomes fluff for that genre. Basically, things put into the anime that takes away from the plot or the show. And in mech, at least from what I see, so I watch a lot of mech. Joe, you watch quite a bit as well.
That's right, but never forget 100% of all Gundam shows are fan service. All of them.
And yeah, well, we see the massive amounts of missiles going off into just an abyss of
the Etano Circus. I love that.
The Etano Circus. We see that's become fluff in the genre because it's almost like it's necessary for a mech or even an action show with robots to have that moment, and it's gotten old at this point.
Well, yeah, that's just it. That's why all these shows are fan service, because the jargon is just for people who already watch these series, who already know what they're talking about. Like, most of the people who've seen all the Gundam shows could probably watch the series with absolutely no dialogue and still understand everything that happened. You already know the Universal Century. There's been a ton of shows already. Thousands of episodes. Like,
true.
You know the whole genre, or you know what they're gonna do. You know what everything is, you know what it means. You're tuning in so you can see the political intrigue, you can hear it, you can see the Etano Circus, you can see the cool mech and all the jargon. That's all really fluff. But it's what the fans of that genre want, so it's what they get.
Well, it's the term I mentioned earlier. The marks are going to love it.
Yep, exactly. And
Does that make it okay? I don't think so, because then it's holding the show back from being something truly special.
well, yeah, that's why my favorite Gundam is 8th MS Team. It was the first time they got, well, not really the first time, but it's one of the first ones where they focused heavily on ground units, and that was the whole series. They didn't go into space. It wasn't a space opera. It was all just contained right in there. I don't like how it ended, but the rest of the series is very good.
Hickey, I don't know if you remember what you said exactly. I'm going to put you on the spot again because I don't know what it is today, but I was really interested in what you were saying, and I had to leave. So I would like to pick your brain a little bit more on what you were saying with like scientific leaps in the suspension of disbelief in terms of whether it's an action, a mech, any type of show along those lines.
Well, basically, the suspension of disbelief is when you can, put aside everything you know about reality and just go with what the show, what the book, what the movie is telling you. Gundam, I think I used Gundam as an example. Gundam does a really good job at suspending your disbelief. They talk about clones and giant robots, some weird power supplies, and you just sit there. Doesn't matter what Gundam are you were watching, and you can believe that it's believable. Okay, humans went to space. You had that battle, that huge battle everyone talks about. Okay, it's fine. Problem is when a show keeps pulling out scientific terms out of the sleeve. And you're like, wait, there's this problem. This show has this problem. And everyone is trying to figure out a problem. Or they never mention this problem. They show you the problem, but they never mention the solution for the problem. And suddenly, they put out a scientific jargon out of the sleeve, and it's done. I'm like, wait, what? That's not true. That's not how things work. You just simply can pull out something you never talked about and go with that solution. That breaks your...
Full Metal Panic is kind of guilty of that.
Yeah.
That's also a comedy, though.
Yeah, but it's still pretty hard back.
I can't disagree actually with that. I was trying to maybe play the devil's advocate, but Full Metal Panic did the same thing.
Yeah. So what happens?
Here's a large leap and bound of you just have to accept what's happening.
Yeah, and that's a problem. A show can talk to you and say, "Look, accept what I'm talking." That's not how things works. The show needs to trust you, needs to gain your trust. What happens is when they pull out sometimes it happens with comic relief as well. But when they pull out a scientific jargon or something that magically kind of makes everything better, it pulls you out of the fantasy world. Pulling you out of the fantasy world, you go back to reality. Going back to reality, you see that everything you watched, it's a bunch of bullshit. Excuse my language, but that's what happens. And that's really bad for the show. You see... you see the fluff better. You put your glasses and you can see everything they're doing. That's usually really bad for show. Doesn't help so much with anime, but anime has a problem with suspension of disbelief a lot. Sometimes they can't even put you in the state of suspension of disbelief to begin with.
I think the earliest example that, at least in my generation, experiencing whether it's suspension of disbelief or the first moment of true fluff that everyone could agree on is the scene in Dragon Ball Z where Goku is trying to conjure a spirit bomb for like 5 straight episodes.
Well, that was the entirety of Dragon Ball Z. I thought you were gonna go with the slap heard around the world and do you remember love?
No, I was kind of just from a general fan's perspective, because even people who weren't anime fans, they were into Dragon Ball Z, were going, what the hell is happening right now? We've seen him put his arms up in the air for like 70 straight minutes. Is this going to happen or what? That is, to me, what I experienced as the first moment of fluff. because
Yeah.
it was no long. It was as epic as the moment was. It was slowly being taken away over time by doing the same thing over and over again.
Well, it was too long.
And
You couldn't
it was-
you couldn't
it was
possibly
too
care
long.
for that long.
Right. And that kind of goes into what I wanted to go into, which was the young boy, the shonen genre, the action epics, you might say, where a lot of fluff in that genre is, or those types of shows, are really just the constant monologues of the two characters spouting ideals at each other. Such as, we can bring up One Piece, where every fight is Luffy going, I'm going to be king of the pirates, I'm going to win, I'm going to kick your ass. And it's the same repeated lines over and over again. So there comes to a point where you're just tuning it out. And that's fluff. And it happens in every single show along those lines. I'm sure Toriko's no different. Prince of Tennis is a sports anime, and they do shit like that all the time. Where it's, I'm going to win this match over and over again.
Prince of Tennis is
How
a
am I
much
gonna-
harder comedy than One Piece, though.
Well, it's a much harder comedy, yeah.
So,
But you get where I'm going with all of that.
absolutely. Well, all I was getting at was if you don't, if they don't sit there and take on like or spout their beliefs and stuff, it kind of just turns to a regular sports anime. And if it's just a regular sports anime, then it's not exactly a comedy. It can still be comical, but because you know how those people act, because they tell you so often, it kind of just enhances that comedic aspect. Also, it's not exactly a high bar in linguistic skill. So, as you know, you watched it in German originally, so you didn't have to
I
sit
did.
there and look up every 2 words. It's pretty on the nose. It's pretty easy.
No, for those who don't know, German is not my first language. And watching One Piece in German was incredibly easy to learn the language because the writing is incredibly simplistic. They repeat lines a lot, so I never had to really find myself going back and forth to the word dictionary too much. The word book, you might say. That's direct translation. The amount of dialogue became so repetitive that in turn became fluff as well. Was it great for me learning German? Absolutely. Does it add to the entertainment to the show? Absolutely not. Oh boy.
What I've noticed in the shonen genre is they tend to be taking everything a lot slower, and I'm
Nowadays, yes.
very on board with that. I love the way they're treating Boku no Hero. And Hickey, I know you're not into the show, but that's really fine. I like that they're taking it slow and they're not trying to rush through the content, because there's not exactly a ton of content to go over right now. I'll take a year break to keep getting the story instead of having, 100 episodes of filler Naruto style in a row.
Oof.
And it's not even close.
Oh
10
no,
times out of 10.
yeah, I might not like that much Boku no Hero Academia, but I have to praise them because they don't have a lot of fluff. Okay,
No, that's a show without any.
they
as far as
keep
I've seen.
everything straight. So at least that, and some other points I need to give credits. I need to be fair with the show.
It is tightly done, but it is a little slow for some people, and I can totally understand that.
And it doesn't. I don't know about that. It doesn't feel slow at all because they're
In the middle of a tournament arc?
in the middle. Well, I mean,
A
it did just end
motherfucking
recently,
tournament
but-
arc?
I mean, I fucking made the joke yesterday that the top 10 anime of spring, number 2 was My Hero Academia, and number 1 was episode 23 of My Hero Academia. Because honestly, the season was a stretch. It felt like a lot of shows contained fluff, and that's what brought up this topic in my head. It just everything I was watching from Kato was nothing but science fluff. And then turning it upside down to say "fuck you," we're gonna make up these new scientific terms and new plot. So accept it. My suspension of disbelief was completely taken away. I've seen parts of Tsukigakure, which is a junior high romance anime that
Please
diverts
stop.
from
No.
No, I have to bring it up because it diverts so much from what it was trying to be and threw in things that didn't need to be there, and that was fluff. Recreators, that's another show from this past season where it was action fluff, where everything was taken away through conversation.
Oh, it wasn't action fluff. That was just subversion. You wanted an action show, you got a conversation piece.
Right. And that's kind of what's another show from this season that's a great
Aramanga Sensei is entirely fluff.
Okay, well go on with that.
Tori, you haven't spoken in a while.
I haven't.
No.
Wow.
No, he's in his suspension of disbelief on this conversation is at its peak.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know how do you talk about Aramanga Sensei? Like, I mean, I don't like it. To me, it's it's fluff. It's just it's not even fluff that I can get behind. Like all I see is like the common like incest joke in anime and the goddamn like 12 like fetishizing.
But Tori, if you look past it, the show's great.
If you simply look past all the flaws, every show is great.
Dude, what I keep seeing with that show is
except
that
Berserk.
The common joke with this show is that it's trash that transcends trash. You become trash to watch this show. It is so bad that it is great, right? It's one of those. I just said like I cannot get on board with that. Maybe it is because of my fucking aversion to incest and to like fetishizing 12-year-olds and whatnot. And I don't find it funny when a 12-year-old goes up and says the line, "I love dick." Everyone my age loves dick. That's the sort of stuff that just makes me go nuts. Like I hate that.
Gets them all hot and bothered.
Yeah, no, it gets me bothered.
Just bothered. Nothing else.
Bothered.
It doesn't get him hot, but he does get him bothered.
Yep, very bothered. Yeah, no. So, like, I don't know. Aramanga Sensei was not good in my opinion, at least. That's
Aramanga Sensei earned a 1 in my heart.
Aramanga Sensei was only beaten out for me as the worst show of 2017 by Handshakers. And that's because at least Aramanga Sensei, when it wants to, it looks okay. Handshakers couldn't even do that.
Those 12-year-olds look fine.
The soundtrack
Everyone have the clean
is
Tori
good.
saying that? Alright, good.
So here's a question I want to spur then.
Okay.
Would this be considered fluff at this point, where we see a show with characters who are supposed to be adults, and I'm not going with full lolly type little girl character art and design. I'm just going with more along the line of, and I see it in Prince of Tennis as a reference, is the characters look like they're possibly, let's say 20, but they're in junior high, and it does work the reverse age where they look 20, or they're supposed to be 20, but they look all of 9 years old. Does that take away from the story and become fluff, or is it just something else?
That's just character art, and as long as it's not portrayed disgustingly, I really don't have a problem with it, to be honest.
What I feel about it, though, is essentially, what you get is you do both of them. Like, teacher from Index, for example. She's like, 40 years old? She looks 6
7
at best.
Yeah.
Right? You have that, and then you have the other one. You have, like, the younger girls, the 15-year-olds, the 14-year-olds, and they look like a mature woman. It's like, And what I feel with that is usually, to me, that's just, fan service. Essentially.
Is that not fluff, though?
You can, definitely, but that is kind of the thing. I see it as, you say fluff, and I just say fan service, which, yes, again, kind of different word for it, but it's essentially that,
right.
you get something. It wants you to get something from it, right? It's like, it's not fun, but it can be portrayed as so many things. It's like, like for example, to bring up the teacher in Index again, what is she? Is she a perversion of a child? From what I remember, not really. It's mostly a joke, right? She looks 7. It's supposed to be funny. She can drive. She has a license. How can she
drinks.
drive?
She smokes.
Yeah, no, but she can drive. She has a license. How can she license? They make the joke that she cannot even reach the pedals in the car. How did she get a license? Right, stuff like that. It's like in that case,
that takes away from my even taking the character seriously at all.
She's not supposed to.
I've seen that show, and there are moments where the character is supposed to be taken seriously.
Not her.
does have something to do with the plot, but you just go, why would I even listen to what you say?
That teacher, she's the Jar Jar Binks of Index, so she's not supposed to be taken seriously.
Maybe they shouldn't write her into important roles then.
I wouldn't say she has many important roles.
Ultimately, she is still a teacher, so she does have that responsibility on her to at least try.
Yeah, which is mostly played as a joke every time because she can't. And it's like, it's supposed to be funny when you have, like, you know, people come to her for advice or for, like, they just, like, to talk to her or be comforted by her or whatever. And it's like, here you have this guy who was, like, twice her size and looked like, it's like he's getting advice from what seems to be a 5-year-old. Right, so it's supposed to, they mostly, at least from my memory, they mostly play it in, like, the comedy angle. Does she need to be in the show? Absolutely not.
Yeah, there's really no point for her being there.
Well, do you guys have any other examples or parts of fluff you want to bring up?
Not really.
No, not exactly, no.
Think we made our point?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I guess.
Fluff done well can be good, but for the most part, it's kind of not. It's basically just a waste of time. It's usually just a bastardization. Of course,
I kind of liked what Hickey was bringing up, and that's until it's overdone, it's not fluff. You want to if you keep making things fresh and show the characters doing new things I think that brings more to the character. That would be definitely a guideline, and it seems like that guideline's ignored for good storytelling.
Well, it's like you were saying, if you're a mark for the show, you're gonna like it. The problem is you're not a mark for every show. So every time there is one of those scenes that are made for fans, you notice it if you're not the mark. And that's the problem.
You notice it immediately.
Yeah.
It's because it's so on the nose and obvious.
Yeah, and that kind of brings me up because I just thought of something that I can talk about as well, and that's, like, you know, because I know most of you guys here don't particularly care for Arya, even though it's my favorite show.
Okay, sure.
Right?
I gave it a 9.
A lot of people will look
like
at that. Okay, but Hickey, you like everything.
No,
He watches everything.
But like, what Arya does, right? And I know a lot of people. Now, I don't know if you're the ones to say this, of course, but what a lot of people, I see a lot of people who has watched it will say, you know, for example, they watched the first season, it's like, it's just fluff. There's nothing. Like, it doesn't do anything. But what I feel, but with that show, is that, while, of course, a lot of it is essentially fluff and not really, like, it's not important. They're not having dialogue or anything for some sort of greater purpose than just hanging out or just doing whatever or for whatever reason. However, what I feel like Arya does with it is it does it for a purpose. It's trying to connect bonds. It's trying to connect the characters, like tie bonds between the characters, and it's trying to also tie those bonds to you, the viewer. So of course, that there becomes an issue already, right? It's either you're into this stuff and you can like get on board with it, and you can become like me, where I sit there and I see like the episode where Aika has grown out her hair and it starts burning and she has to cut it and she's upset and I'm upset. Normally, this is the sort of stuff I don't care about. However, because I care for these characters, this is the sort of I understand why she's upset, and her being upset makes me upset. However, if you're not a mark for this stuff and you do not care, you're gonna see stuff like this and just think to yourself, "What's the point?"
And your eyes are just gonna roll into the next dimension.
Essentially, yes.
I thought the cat was the feline version of pure fluff.
Well, I mean, the cat is Arya, so
the cat is Arya.
The point.
And you're also right, because the way the cat works, while the cats are a plot point in Arya, they're essentially, like the author says, she essentially got the idea because she has a cat, and like her assistant has cats, and they bring the cats over, and they thought it'd be fun to put them into the manga. So yes, you're kind of right. They are essentially fluff, but they decided to also make a story around them.
Well, that's kind of the thing, though, because I watched Arya on your recommendation, at least the first 2 seasons. Yeah. I didn't really like it.
You didn't watch it on my recommendation.
With my eyes. Anyway.
You didn't watch it on my recommendation. That's a lie. Come on.
Anyway, I watched it. I wasn't very fond of it, but you could tell it was doing what it was supposed to do well. Yep. It had good music. It had good art. It had fine animation, and I just wasn't a mark for the series. Originally, I scored this a 7 or an 8, just because just because I thought it did what it was supposed to do well. I just wasn't a mark for the series. Now, granted, I put that down because you kept complaining, but how do you give a 7 to something you don't like? Very easy. I still think it did things well, but whatever.
Yeah, that's actually a good conversation for another time. Can you give praise to a show you didn't like?
Of course I can. I do it all the time.
Unfortunately, that's probably something we all agree on, which is yes. So we can't really have a good conversation about it. But okay, so we've reached the hour mark.
Go.
I think it's time we move on to a very hateful and controversial topic in a lot of people's minds, especially with anime fans today, is the tragic girlfriend.
Okay.
Hooray!
Hooray!
Woo!
Yay! Well,
My favorite.
I'm gonna pick this up right now. I think the tragic girlfriend is a pathetic storytelling, trope.
Okay, go on. I like where you're going with this.
It forces the viewer to either A, totally buy that this is a super sad moment, or B, not like the show because you have to feel it. And if you don't feel it, the show's not for you. It's why I didn't like Clannad. It's why I don't like most key shows, because they're all just, it's like, oh wow, this looks really good. Wow, this music's pretty good. Oh my god, they're animated really well. Oh, and the story just went to shit because I saw that coming at episode 1, but I'm supposed to feel bad now at episode 28. And I just don't care. So there are times where the opposite's true, though. For instance, Anohana. I didn't like Anohana, but to make you feel for a character you knew was dead from episode 1 is a feat in and of itself. It's very surprising that, so many people cared, even though they outright told you the first episode, she's dead. They didn't sugarcoat it at all. They said, we lost a friend. That was the entire premise of the series.
Right.
So I thought that was very well done, but still ultimately kind of a tragic girlfriend story. And I don't like being told how to feel when I watch a series. I like trying to be guided to certain emotions, but if I don't feel those emotions, the story shouldn't break for me. And in Tragic Girlfriends, that's more than likely the case.
Yeah. So for the audience that's not totally familiar with what we're talking about, I'm sure you've seen a show somewhere along the line of an example of where a character is described as frail, gets sick easily, there could be a death ensue that's telegraphed way before it was supposed to happen. And the funny thing about anime is we never actually really know what they're sick with. I've come to the conclusion, and the joking conclusion, that it's the winter disease, otherwise known as influenza, which they make vaccines for, so aka no one in Japan vaccinates their kids.
You spent a good, 2 hours looking up vaccines in Japan just to make this joke?
Well, it wasn't solely for the joke, but it did become a thing.
It's for the joke now.
Okay, well, it did become a thing. So for a good example would be to bring up a very, very popular show, which is Your Lie in April, where the main character, Kaori, is immediately... The audience is immediately told that she has a life-threatening illness. And for me, I didn't... Yes, the show, it doesn't have to be also a female. It can be also the male. And the main character, what was his name? Kosei?
Yes.
Yes. Kosei suffered from child abuse, and his mom died. And he suffers basically a PTSD kind of thing out of it. So we have the two main characters are both a tragic, let's keep with the theme here, tragic girlfriend. One we know is stricken with illness and is probably going to die. And then the other is PTSD and crying a lot. I can agree with you, Joe, that yes, the show wants you to feel this way, and it really throws it in your face.
It really relies on you feeling that way.
It relies on you feeling that way, and then that's where, and because it does that, that's where the comedy then falls hard if the comedy doesn't sit with you right.
Now, don't get me wrong, I liked Your Lie in April. I thought it was fine. Right. I didn't think it was as good as everyone made it out to be. For instance, I think Erased was a better a better kind of tragic girlfriend story. And yeah, they're children, but I mean, it was just kind of like you felt for the character better because you knew, she was getting abused and you saw it, and the reactions seemed more real. 'Cause towards the end of Your Lie in April, Kosei actually forgives his mother. It's something that I could never see myself doing, and it's something that doesn't make sense to his character because he's been dealing with this his entire life. But he just kind of goes, "Oh, you did this for me. Oh, I'm so glad you beat the shit out of me my entire life so I could be good at playing piano. I love you, Mom." That was bullshit. I thought that was total bullshit. I couldn't accept it.
No, I mean there were things like that was keeping the score, just as an example, from being perfect with that show, and it was things like that. You brought up Erased, how the girl who was abused, when the main character goes to her, he's like, do you want me to take you away? And she goes like, "I couldn't be happier. Get me out of that house," kind of deal. That was a more realistic feeling than just ultimately forgiving someone who basically made your childhood a living hell.
Well, that's just it, though. Like, I feel like it was just portrayed in a more believable fashion. That's why I think it's a better series. Because if someone's beating the shit out of you, I don't care how old you are, you know something's wrong. you know it. You know it.
Yeah.
And her name was Kaio, by the way, in Erased.
Kaio, that's right.
Kaio.
She spends most of that series trying to deal with it herself until someone offers a hand. Kosei, in Your Lie in April, gets his ass beat until his mother dies. And then he forgives her, and that's really, like, I understand you have to forgive your parents eventually, but it didn't sit right.
No, and there's a moment in Your Lie in April where he does forgive her, and there's an epic piano scene. You do feel the character's emotion, but is it truly believable? It's a different story in itself, and that's kind of our problem with how this tragic persona is being put in anime, and that's that. Hickey, what do you got to say on this topic? You've been quiet.
I don't mind the tragic girlfriend. My problem, like we were talking before, is the suspension of disbelief. I can't get myself to fully enjoy a show where I know what the outcome is. So usually when I watch a show about a tragic girlfriend, I go for the outcome. I know what's gonna happen in the end. They told me already. But I want to see them progressing through the story and see if the ending will have such impact they're promising me.
Okay, so then continuing with Your Lie in April with
Your Lie in April. At the end of Your Lie in April, part of me, a small part of me, was hoping she would survive. So for me, I like Your Lie in April. I like the outcome of Your Lie in April. Although I read the manga before the anime, and the anime has some flaws that the manga don't have. But at the end of the manga, I was like, okay, I have like 60% of chance of her dying and 40% of chance of surviving. And what happened, I was like, okay, I was expecting that, but still, it got me there. Something that, it's either that or when the tragic girlfriend trope just hit you like a truck. Comes out of nowhere.
Could that be the opposite? Could the manga have a better ending than the anime, but the anime ruins it?
No.
For instance, Fuka?
Replace moments with fluff.
Replace
a tragic girlfriend moment with absolute fluff. I kind of don't want to touch on Fuka exactly because that's kind of an interesting case of not adapting properly.
Well, I can agree with that. I very vehemently do not agree with where the anime went and what it did instead of what happened in the manga. And I was a manga fan before the anime was even announced. As a matter of fact, I was reading the volume where they announced the anime, and I was actually really excited, because I really like band shows. Anyone who knows me knows I like music shows, except for K-On! But
what about one?
Except for that one. But I finally watched it, and I wasn't exactly ecstatic with how they were adapting it up to that point, but then that happened, and I totally fucking shut off on the series. It was like someone spit in my face, because you took what was a very interesting like romance breakdown and a character study, and you turned it into an average anime.
Mm-hmm.
You just
Below average, if you ask me.
well,
Yeah.
it earned a 1 in my book. You spit in all the fans' faces. I can't accept that.
Well, I can expand on the whole spit on the fans' faces thing, and this is where we're going to get into Clannad. I feel this is a good turning point for that. That it is a show filled with the tragic girlfriend. Just something tragic happening to a character, but ultimately it's immediately taken away.
Within an episode or two, everything's reset every time.
Or within the same episode. It never happened. And we mentioned Kosei from Your Lie in April forgiving his mom. We see the same thing in Clannad happen. So perhaps Your Lie in April ripped it off from Clannad, where...
Well, the difference with Kosei in Your Lie in April is he forgave her. He didn't forget. So to that point, I can give the nod to Your Lie in April that at least he didn't forget what happened to him his entire childhood. The resets, nothing happened. That was basically it. It was like it never happened. Like you wasted your time.
Well, what happened in Clannad, avoiding, I guess, some spoilers, but you can't really do it when nothing counts in the show in the end. Our main character, Tomoya, who cares?
Tomoya.
Tomoya.
Tomoya, indeed.
He grew up with a single father who's a drunk, a deadbeat, a loser, and all of a sudden he gets this epiphany where he needs to forgive him for no reason. Anyone disagree with that?
I disagree with that.
No, that's basically how I viewed it.
I disagree with that.
He just randomly has an epiphany at a field because he meets his grandmother.
No, I disagree with
she
that.
goes-
I heavily disagree with that.
You disagree with that?
Yeah, I heavily disagree with that. I think... so we're talking about After Story as well. I think
That would be after story, yes.
yeah, he forgave his father because he went the same way. So I think when he experienced the same thing his father experienced, and I almost gave a spoiler. When he was at the same situation of his father, he made the same choices as his father. He saw what he was doing, and was like, oh shit, so I did the same thing. I don't think it's right for me to keep ignoring my father after what I did.
Well, at the same
After
time,
what he himself did.
at the same time in Western media, the sins of the father trope are very common. So it wasn't like for me being, American. It's not fresh for me to see that. In Japan, it may be. I don't know.
Yeah, you might be onto something, Joe, with that one.
Because
I-
we're very
we
used.
see
We're very
that-
used to
yeah,
Western
we see that
media.
stuff so often. Yeah.
Like we
Yeah,
see it
go
in The
on.
Walking Dead and everything.
But what I think, though, especially with Clannad, it's I think that it probably a lot worse was like, it's one thing with Tomoya forgiving his father, but it's one thing as well with him treating his own daughter as shit, essentially, and not pretend like she isn't there or that she doesn't exist or just doesn't want anything to do with her, only to then kind of one day show up and be like, you know what, I should probably be a father to her. And then it's like the people who have been raising her, they're like, yeah, sure, I have her back. It's like,
That was my problem, Tori. That's exactly where I broke. I couldn't care when someone who raised this child for years, knowing that the father was a piece of shit, was just willing to give the kid back like it was nothing. Because, well, he's still her father. That's bullshit. You know, for sure, you're raising that kid better than that guy will.
Maybe they
Just
just
my
didn't
2
want to
cents.
raise the kid. Ever think about that, huh? Maybe they're just taking tired of it. No, I don't want it.
we don't want a tragic girlfriend in our lives again. That's what the parents were really thinking.
We've already had one. We don't want another.
Well, I mean, you know what happens when you birth a Mary Sue. Someone's got to go.
But you know, like,
So there's actually a show coming out in the summer, and we made fun of it 2 podcasts ago. It's called Cleone's Light, where it's about a illness-stricken, bullied orphan girl. So it's almost like we're getting all of these tragic tropes in one person,
And she disappears.
and it's becoming comical.
I want to ask a question though, like, because
Okay.
when it comes to tragic girlfriends, it's like, how do you feel about, let's say, something like Plastic Memory, for example, which is a tragic girlfriend story. However,
Yes.
similar, it's kind of doing the similar thing to Anohana, where it's essentially, it's established literally as you're introduced to these. Of course, they're robots, but like, they bring up many questions. But essentially, what they know is like, she is past her due date. She is going to break down at any point. You should not get close to her. He decides to get close to her anyways. And where it's kind of like, it's a ticking clock. You always know it's going to happen. Eventually it happens. Right? So it's like, how do you feel about those shows? Like, that kind of tries to, I don't know, like, it doesn't try to pull the wool over your eyes. It kind of, like, it tells you right away from what it wants to be, what this is.
Well,
I'm not necessarily talking about Plastic Memory, because in my opinion, Plastic Memory is a bad example of that. But you know, stories like that.
So I'm of the opinion that there's no such thing as a bastard concept. There's no concept that is always bad. Everything can be done well. The problem is, usually, tragic girlfriends aren't, because whoever's writing it either doesn't have the prowess to make you feel that without giving you bullshit, or you don't engage in the story, or the story's not for you. So, like, I appreciate when shows come out and tell you exactly what they are originally, if it's going to be something like that, personally. Mm-hmm. Because I'll just know, I'll just ignore it. I don't want to get 9 episodes into a series that's going to be 24 episodes and just be like, oh, this is going to be a tragic girlfriend. Your character may or may not die. We don't know. Well, yeah, we do know, because in episode 9, you said she has winter disease. She has anime girl syndrome. She's going to die. So I
She has influenza and winter's coming.
So I do appreciate. So I do appreciate, like, I appreciate Anohana doing that from the get-go. Again, that series just wasn't for me, but I do understand why people like it. And
I would like to make an analogy here. Now that you bring up, Tori, you brought up the Anohana versus Plastic Memory.
Mm-hmm.
Are you guys? I'm gonna date myself a little bit here. Are you guys familiar with The Price is Right, the original Bob Barker show?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Nope.
So it's a game show.
Again, I'm the only American.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I saw The Price is Right. It was on in Germany, so it could be on in Brazil and Norway. But
It could have, but I
anyways.
haven't seen it.
So it's a game show where you essentially guess the price of items. Say, for example, a can of SpaghettiOs, or the price of a brand new football. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There's a game called Cliffhanger, where you guess a price, and the further and further away from the price you guess, the mountain climber will then go up the cliff, and at the end, if you go over a price point, the guy will fall off. So I'd like to make that as an example of storytelling from Plastic Memories to Anohana. What Anohana did well was it set the premise, so you got your item, and you were able to guess where this was going to go. And whether that's you were right or wrong, you're going up the cliff, it's good storytelling. And she wasn't totally the focus, she was the catalyst to the story.
Well, it was like taking an open book test, right? Versus taking an open book test in a different language.
So, as the story progressed in Anohana, the living characters in the story had to deal with said catalyst. So the mountain climber's going up the mountain until finally that peak climax at the end, and it doesn't fall off because you, as the viewer, weren't, in my opinion, weren't totally forced to feel bad for the girl. You felt bad for the characters because they finally had to do what they had to do. That was the peak. That was done well. Now, what Plastic Memories didn't do well was, as the mountain climber goes up and up the mountain and the plot's going, you don't truly feel for what the character's going through because they constantly reiterate and tell you this is going to happen. But you already knew that from the start. So when the mountain climber reaches the top of the mountain and it finally does happen, it just falls hard because you go, yeah, that was supposed to happen. Why should I have overreacting emotions and crying for the character where it was inevitable?
So basically,
why should I feel bad for the male character then?
Yeah.
He, as much as myself, should have expected that and not fallen into that trap.
So basically what you're saying is, I've been over this, why isn't he? Because he knew the entire time what was going to happen. Whereas with Anohana, they already understood that is what happened. They were getting over it the entire story. That was the story.
Yeah.
While Plastic Memories, it wasn't a catalyst. It was their means to an improper end.
Well, they were trying to make that the climax,
Exactly.
and it just kind of fell flat because you knew it was going to happen the entire time. Why wouldn't you know? They told you.
I mean, that's like what Anohana does as well. I feel like what Anohana does well is on top of just having on top of just doing the she's already dead. Let's work to get over that. And that's kind of the side story, right? It's not so much about the sadness, like, feeling it. The feelings at the end doesn't necessarily come from the fact that she is dead or the fact that she's disappearing. It's about, the characters having to work to kind of get over and accept that this happened, which kind of goes into the other plot point of Anohana, where it's because of these things happening, they're all kind of blaming themselves and each other for not doing anything, for not being there for her, for not helping her, or for blaming themselves for her death, essentially. So they're kind of growing apart, and kind of the show is spent trying to reconnect those characters to kind of forgive each other and themselves, especially realizing that this is not something that this is not their fault. She didn't die because of them. She died because she was unfortunate and got in an accident. They're not to blame, and they're kind of trying to reconnect the characters. Whereas Plastic Memories, on the other hand, it kind of goes into that problem where I say, he brought it on himself. Is it sad that his, robot girlfriend died? Yes. Yes, of course it is. It's always sad when somebody you hold dear die. But it's one of those things where it's you have always known that this was gonna be the end result. You were praying for the faint chance that maybe this one will not, and in the end, no, this one as well. This one dies as well. So it's yes, it's sad for you, but you kind of had it coming. Right?
It never really gave you that state of mind, like Hickey said earlier, with what he felt in Your Lie in April, where there was that almost 50-50 shot.
Yeah.
Well, at least there was a teetering point, whereas in Plastic Memories, there really wasn't. It had never happened.
Straight off.
What was
the mountain climber just went straight off.
What was it? What was it? I think it was a 0.1% chance that maybe.
That's not enough for me to hold on to.
That's not enough.
That's dude.
I might be strong, but I ain't that strong.
Probably not going to happen. And if it does happen, it's nothing short of a miracle.
Well, that's the problem, though, because if it did happen, I would call that entire series bullshit.
Yeah.
But because it didn't happen, well, it's just fucking another tragic girlfriend story. There was really no positive spin to do to that.
Mm-hmm.
There was
it kind of lost its point.
There was there was no good thing to happen.
Now, one movie that has come out fairly recently, and I won't go into spoilers in this one, is A Silent Voice, where it focuses on a guy and a girl, and one of the girls is deaf. And as I just want to bring up the point with what Anohana does, or did, was the tragic girlfriend was the catalyst to the story. And that's what happens in Silent Voice. And then it actually takes it up, to, I say, to another level. Because of what ends up being the focus is not her, but her impacting our protagonist's life. So we're not actually feeling totally sorry and balls out crazy for her as much as another character. And that's not utilizing a tragic girlfriend to be just this trope where you must feel bad.
It's proper character development from what you just said to me.
Yes, it's done well. And that's why I personally think it's better than Your Name, honestly, because it does that.
I don't think they're even really comparable, with the exception that they're both new and kind of romance stories.
Yeah.
But at the same...
Blame came out, and that's an action show, and that has its merits as well.
You should totally compare them. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Your Name versus Blame, what's better?
Well,
Blame,
is
but I'm a mark for that series.
Who did it better?
Who did it better?
Blame
Well,
is
you
a
can
tragic
compare.
girlfriend.
You can compare based on who did it better, but I mean that's not really the point.
Yeah.
I think the action in Blame was so much better than in Your Name.
But Joe, the whole reason why the action in Blame was so much better than A Silent Voice in Your Name. Damn, you got one there.
Well, you fucking showed me.
Well, when I was watching A Silent Voice, Joe, this is where this topic kind of came up. Was it's actually worry now that perhaps more and more shows are just going to have a handicapped person of some kind just in a show for the sake of it, for you to feel bad, and marks are going to just lick it up.
Well, there is one exception to that rule, and that is Gangsta.
Okay.
The Tori, what studio did Gangsta?
Manglobe.
Manglobe. Yeah, they just went under.
Yep.
Closed Globe.
I've
Non-Man
read
Globe.
I've read that manga, and I really, really enjoy it. What they did to the anime was good until it wasn't, in the most cliched possible way I can say. But the way they portrayed Nico, the main character,
Yes.
he's a deaf guy, right? So they had a deaf guy play him. He sounds very genuine, very believable when he talks. And they don't portray him as this weak, like, nothing guy. They don't portray him like he's handicapped. He very literally is handicapped. He can't hear.
Mm-hmm.
But the way they portray him is still the strong main character. He still has his own character development. You still understand him. So if you can portray a character that's handicapped as still a normal person, because ultimately they're still normal people. Like, no matter what, they have their own thoughts. And I think it's gross, straight up gross, when you're gonna portray a character that has a handicap as worthless just because they have that handicap. So if they start doing that in a lot of series, if they start making characters that are thrown in there to be like weak, pathetic nothings, I will be very offended, technically. I mean, there's no other way to say it. That's straight up offensive. You're treating people as second class.
What are the odds then? Okay, so let's go in some theories here, because this is where I ultimately wanted to end up. Because I'm salivating at making fun of the show. It's called Cleon's Light, as I mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Illness-stricken, bullied orphan girl. That's everything in one.
Yes.
I want to hear each of your opinions over what do you think this character is going to be in the story, because we honestly know nothing about the show.
I swear to God, if this is a hard drama, this is going to be gross. This is going to be horrible.
It looks like it's gonna be a drama, from what I understand.
If this was a comedy, I might be able to look past it. But it doesn't look that way.
It's going to be an unintentional comedy, because everything we're talking about here is probably going to be in the show.
And that's disgusting to me. That's very disgusting.
What gets me though with that story is like what I've seen. The three like genres I've seen attached to this so far has been drama, which understandable based on that fucking girl. Just having her in there is drama. Like fucking drama. You have mystery and adventure, which kind of
adventure.
Yes, which is one of those things which like it makes me. What are they looking for? Are they gonna adventure? What is like?
Are they looking for her dead parents?
Are they?
Oh yeah, over under
They're
her
looking
parents
for
are
the
dead.
corpses of her dead parents. They have to find her dead parents so they can give them a proper burial.
Like, I'm just wondering, how is she going to be bullied? And my theory is she's going to show up at school in, like, a wheelchair, coughing with, like, an oxygen tank. And there's going to be this dick come over and, like, kick the tank over and push her chair over. And then it's gonna be so over the top. And like you said, Joe, the show wants us to feel bad for the girl, but if it goes that far, are we actually going to feel bad, or are we just going to laugh because it's
so asinine?
Let's face it, it's so asinine, and it's a cartoon character getting the shit kicked out of her because she's frail.
Honestly, what I think they're going to do, I'm pretty sure we're probably just going to kick in at the moment. Like, we're going to see her at school. She's going to be normal, like, and people are going to, like, be talking about her behind her back, and then it's like, one day that her friends knows that she's not at school and turns out she's been admitted to hospital. I don't think it's going to get any worse than that.
You don't think it's gonna go full oxygen tank removal?
No, I don't think so, because, like,
thrown out the window.
Based on the synopsis, it all seems to be like she is a bullied, illness-stricken orphan girl. She has been admitted to hospital when they all of a sudden get this weird text message. It's like, it kind of feels like it's just, it feels to me like something that is going to be mentioned and then just quickly glossed over. And it's like, and here's where the story begins. Now let's go to find this festival in some faraway town that some random dude texted us about that we don't even know, because that's what everybody does, right? Everybody.
And then it turns into another where everyone in the class starts getting murdered.
Oh, I hope. That'd be nice.
The best B movie of the season.
The characters get kidnapped looking for this mystery festival, and it turns out to be her almost dead parents.
And there's a spooky ghost that doesn't kill people on their own. No, because the ghost is around, people get maimed and murdered. And pie is cut all over the place.
Hickey, where do you think the show is going to go?
I don't know. I just didn't want to watch this show to begin with, but still. I think they're gonna show her being bullied, but it will be the same as every single other Japanese anime. They will, ride on her school chair.
Chalkboard?
Not the chalkboard, the chair, like die or something like that. Probably in black and white.
Oh, yeah.
Probably in black and white. Yeah. Then it's just gonna.
They just won't even really go into it at all.
She's bullied, and then let's go to the story now.
Why are you even at school? Kind of thing, right on the chalkboard, right on her desk. You should just leave. Why are you here? Kind of thing. Oh God. The show's either going to be so over the top, or it's going to be nothing.
Or it's going to be the best show this season.
Kakegururi has something to say about that.
Hey man, hey, that fucking
That OP
NTR
is
has something to
strong.
say. NTR has something to say about that. What?
Yeah, I knew you'd be into that. God.
Yeah,
Confirmed. Tori's
the less-
into cuck porn. Great.
I do like it when girls decide to leave their boyfriends for each other. I love that.
Why would you admit that?
Why would I admit that I like lesbians? I don't know.
Okay. Okay.
Dude, I don't have anybody to lose.
That's true.
So, needless to say, I think what we should do here is take a little break before we get into our main topic here. But what's going to happen, unfortunately, is I think, as Joe's saying earlier, is the tragic girlfriend is probably going to become a trope that's going to be overused and basically just not be to what I was saying, not a catalyst for the story. It's just going to be a point in the show for you to feel bad about. Any other remarks?
Not really. I mean, I would greatly appreciate it if they had the creative balls to subvert expectations and do what they want to do instead of what the fans want. Ultimately, out of a story, I don't care what the fans want. I'm not there for the fans. I'm there for the director, the original creators, the animators, the voice actors. I do not give a shit what a bunch of anime fans want at all. That's why I love
Tori?
End of Evangelion so much. Because Anno just said, fuck you, I'm gonna do what I want.
Oh man, Tori, what do you got?
Repeat the question for me.
Do you think the tragic girlfriend's going to become essentially a trope and be overused, or do you think more shows might pull off a catalyst like an Anohana
I mean,
and actually make it a good part of the story?
like everybody's trying to make it a good part of the story, but the thing is, with anything
Well.
that becomes popular, of course, the more popular it gets, the more it's going to be used. And now what you see, like with Silent Voice and stuff like that coming up by KyoAni, I'm sure that's going to garner some attraction. So that obviously means that people are going to try to copy that. And so yes, of course, I do think we're going to be getting a bunch of shows that are just nothing really in terms of that. Like they take the easy way out, to put it that way. They're just like they're banking on it being enough to just have that character there, and they're probably just going to turn it into a trope rather than an actual story. But yeah.
Okay, let me spur this last question then. What is the best TV show with a tragic girlfriend that you've seen?
Ooh, that's difficult.
Tori?
Oh shit, that's tough.
That is really tough.
I'm gonna...
Because we all know the worst is Clannad, and we'll move on from that one.
Oh my
Technically,
god.
that would be my best, because that is the one with the highest. I've given the highest score, so Yeah,
I'm
sure,
going
Clannad,
to-
Why not?
I'm going to stick with what I was saying earlier with Erased.
Okay.
That entire series actually pulled at my heartstrings the whole time. Unless you want to count Welcome to the NHK as a tragic girlfriend because of what happens,
I think you can.
then
I think you
it's
can.
not even close. Welcome to the NHK, the only piece of fiction ever to make me cry.
Weak.
I would go with Your Lie in April because it gave me hope.
It gave you
Yeah.
hope.
It gave me hope she will, not be a tragic well, she was a tragic girlfriend, but still, it gave me hope that something would be different.
Tori?
What?
Tori said Clannad.
Yeah.
He said Clannad?
Yes,
okay.
yes, he did.
I was hoping he was joking.
No.
Yeah, me too.
Of course I'm not joking.
Oh, well, the Norwegian always has the worst taste.
I have the best taste.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
you
God.
only have a 40% pro taste.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, I think mine's Anohana, but then again, I haven't seen too many. I've seen NHK Erased. Clannad is bar none the least favorite of mine for sure. I'll go with Anohana as the best example.
And-
so we all picked something different, which I'm pretty happy about.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like
Even
we're
though
not the
Tori's
same
taste
person.
was terrible. We discovered
I
that.
have the best taste. Thank you.
You just discovered that? God, I've known that since I started talking to him.
Ha.
Oh my god. Okay. So, anybody need to take a break,
I
or are we
don't.
going straight into his and her circumstances?
Let's go straight
I'm
into
ready.
Kare Kano. Let's
Yeah.
do it.
Hickey, you good?
Sure.
Okay. So, Joe, this was your suggestion.
This was
Well,
your
yes,
fault.
yes, it
You're
was.
This is your fault.
Yep.
We are going to start talking about the show. You have the Mal and Wiki page up. Kind of give us a rundown of the studio, how many episodes.
Okay, this is an
did it?
this is an
Why?
old Gynax banger. Also, JC staff helped.
They did
It's-
animation.
yeah, it's from 1998, and the directors were Hideaki Anno for the first 13 episodes, is what he's credited with, but he actually left at episode 18, and then Kazuya Tsurumaki, you might know him from co-directing End of Evangelion and directing Fooly Cooly. Actually a strong director. This was definitely not his strongest work. So as for what it's about, it's your main character, Yukino. I believe she's referred to as Miyazawa the entire time. She's kind of a piece of shit at home. But at school she's perfect at school. She sits there, she's pretty, she's intelligent, she's nice to people. And most people think something like that couldn't really happen. No one like that exists. Well, they're correct because the entire thing is just an act. It's all a facade. All she wants in life is to be praised and admired by everyone around her. But eventually she meets our secondary main character, Arima, and she actually gets beaten. She gets beaten in the exam rankings, and that kind of starts spurring this whole story of her not liking him, and then he blackmails her to start helping him out, and eventually a relationship forms, and eventually turns into actual love. That is where the series started. I would like to point out that this entire series, all 26 episodes, only covers about 7 volumes of the manga. There are 21 volumes. And there was a lot of creative differences between the staff at Gainax and the mangaka, whose name I should know. And where is it? Masami Suda. They had a big falling out. That's why the final episode, as you guys saw, had a "see you next time." That never came. Yeah, that never happened. And that's
Thank God.
well, I personally think her reaction was very misguided, because I think the series is much better than the manga, but just because it's comedically timed better, and I believe Ano has a better understanding of how people are and how they work, what they do, whereas the manga is very idealized. It's very idealistic.
Very shoujo.
It's very shoujo. That's a very apt way to put it.
This is definitely a genre that I'm not too well versed in, although I don't hate it.
I believe the first 13 episodes of this series, the ones Ano directed, are probably the most shonen-style shoujo I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
It's like watching Nana, but with a ton of production issues.
It's like watching a show that is not even
Nana's
close
good.
to Nana. Yes, you're right.
First of all, Nana's good.
Nana
so
is really good.
we're already on different wavelengths, trying to compare those two. So, as you mentioned, it focuses on our two characters. I liked how it began, first and foremost, where Yukino and Arima are focused on individually in the episodes. It starts out with her circumstances, and then it goes on to his circumstances. So you get both sides of the coin there on the story end, kind of where the characters are coming from. I thought that was great. Mm-hmm. It brought up a lot of the first theme it brought up is they have their own, as they deemed, masks. They put on this persona in public, where they only show this one side of their personality. And by episode 3, we're already set up with that love story, and it's done well. I really enjoyed it. Tori?
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, the thing with the show going into, I had heard of it, but I didn't really have any expectations. So I was kind of going in blind. Senpai seemed to think I would like this show, so I was like, well, maybe it's my kind of show. I don't know. So I went into it, and I kind of basically got, like JD said, an interesting take. Like, you get both sides of the coin. You get Miyazawa's side, you get her circumstances, you get Arima's circumstances, and kind of the two things that ultimately connects the characters, making the fact that they kind of grow closer and eventually spring into love make a lot of sense. Do I think it's the best portrayal of romance ever? No, but like that's a different side. But it makes sense why they would come together, in my opinion. And what this show did really well, in my opinion, was as well, it added a lot of comedy, which from what Joe told me is also kind of where some of the problems with the mangaka came up, because of the comedy. But in my opinion, it never felt out of place. Yes, this is a comedy drama, which means that it's heavy on the drama, but it also kind of throws in jokes. But it never, to me, felt like the jokes came in at an inopportune time. It never really felt like the joke ruined the moment. If anything, I felt like the jokes helped lift up the series, and not just have it be this incredible, sad, depressing, oh, I hate everything kind of show. it showed like you would expect from people, multiple sides. Everybody has multiple sides. Everybody has different reactions to different things, and some of them were funny. I'm fine with that. I also want to compare this to another show that JD's talked about that we're watching right now as a community watch, which is Kimi ni Todoroki, which is also a very, very similar story, love story shoujo. The biggest difference, of course, is the pacing. Kimi ni Todoroki is incredibly slow and never moves anywhere and doesn't really do anything. But what it does very similar to His Nurse Circumstances is that it tries to spur in these like more depressing moments, but kind of throw in the comedic angle on it. It's like, you know, it's kind of similar to what His Nurse Circumstances does. However, the difference there to me becomes His Nurse Circumstances times the jokes very well. They fit the scene, they fit whatever's going on, and they never seem to ruin any moments. Whereas in Kimi ni Todoroki, the comedy kind of seems to always be the thing that leads after, you know, something quote-unquote dramatic happens. It's kind of like, oh, they all hate her, let's throw in a joke. She gets called nicknames and everybody thinks she's the girl from the ring, let's throw in a joke about that because that's funny. She is the girl from the ring, everybody thinks she's the girl from the ring, haha, laugh. Like, that kind of thing. And it feels incredibly forced in Kimi ni Todoroki. Unlike in His and Her Circumstances, up until a certain point. And do you want me to keep going, or does anybody else want to talk before I go in on that?
Let's get what Hickey has to say about the start of the show.
Yeah.
I thought the beginning of the show was pretty good. The characters were well portrayed, especially that the monologues and stuff like that. I think the only problem I had with, I don't know, the first 5 episodes, let's put this mark, was episode 3. There was a dialogue, and the soundtrack music in the background was louder than the character speaking. So that was kind of bad. I couldn't pay attention to what they were talking about because of the soundtrack is booming. The soundtrack, at least the soundtrack's good. So yeah, it's very simple. The story it's not that difficult. You have a character who uses a mask, which would be Miyazawa, and Arima kind of falls in love with the mask. Then he realizes that's not her, and that realization makes something inside of him breaks, and he realizes, well, I like her anyway, and I have this other side inside of me that I never knew about it, and so this is the real Arima, and then we go forward on this story, which
I really liked how the show expanded on that. It does expand on issues. It doesn't just touch them and leave them alone. That we see a lot of these kind of shows do. Kimi no Todoke is a great example of having an issue and then immediately ignoring it or not even going into it at all.
For me, one of the scenes I really liked in His and Her Circumstances was when Miyazawa and Arima were talking together, and they're talking about, like, you have to be the real you, and it was Miyazawa to Arima, and Arima says, but what if the real me's a piece of shit? What if I'm like my father? Because you find out early on that he was adopted, and he was abused before he was adopted. He's afraid of what he really is, of whose blood is running through his veins, and he doesn't want to be like that.
Sins of the father become your own kind of thing.
Exactly.
Which you mentioned earlier.
Exactly, but they treat it in such a direct way. It's not beating around the bush. He just comes out and says it. What if the real me is a piece of shit? I don't want to be that.
No, I mean, it's things like that's done well. I mean, I've gone through it where you meet somebody and you find a side of yourself that you didn't know existed, or a new side of yourself that was never there, but now it is because this other person is bringing that out in you. And whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, you do get that Arima is scared of that, while Yukino is the other way around, where her side of herself is just being more open to her more or less piece of shit self, because she's an attention whore.
Yes,
to be honest.
Yeah.
She still wants the attention. She admits it fully. She just wants now her. I guess her whole objective was for everyone to know that. So her coming out personality wise was a lot easier than what, say, Arima had to go through, and the show does a great job of going through that. And that's really the first 3 episodes where this all happens. Now we get episodes 4 to, let's say, 12. I think that's a good chunk to take out, because it feels the relationship between them build. It does build. A couple of characters are introduced, and I have a problem with a couple of those, what they do with that. But the fact that the show does further develops their relationship, and the fact that it has an episodic nature doesn't deter from the show at all. Each episode, I like how each episode shows kind of this funny small recap of events that have happened instead of having recap episodes. But that all changed later. That all changed much later, when it was taken away. So at the beginning, that was nice to see. Here's just some things I wrote down that they touch on just in the first from episodes 4 to about the 12 mark. Complications and inner struggle of confessions and fear of rejection. That was an entire episode dedicated to that issue. Parents going through remarriage, such as that was one character. Really hits. The show does a very good job in hitting a what the theme of dysfunctional household entails. Yukino's house is dysfunctional in the fact that it's pure chaos most of the time. It's nonsense. While a dysfunctional household for Arima is the fact that he's adopted. Those aren't his real parents. For another character, the parents are divorced, and the father's going to get remarried. So it definitely goes through a lot of the motions and touches on each subject individually, and I really appreciated that.
Well, the episodes we're talking about are episodes that were mainly directed by Anno.
Yes.
Basically, once the creative differences, I'll call it, started happening, I feel like he got very much hands off the story, because most of the critiques were based on things that he did, changing where the camera is, changing how scenes are portrayed, changing the way like characters interact. And that's what I was saying earlier, why I think he has a much better understanding of people than the mangaka does. Because I believe those things were done better than they were in the manga. They were kind of portrayed in a more down-to-earth sense. Like, people have multiple sides. People can be funny and still be sad. People aren't two-dimensional, essentially. And from what I've seen, Anno's work always portrays that. Whereas it seems like the mangaka herself, she wanted more of a direct, like, translation, which manga panels animated. And to the second half of the series, that is literally what she got.
Speaking of, just to put a criticism of what Anno did as well, because you just said, like, you know, what you want was manga panels animated. Well, then you have probably one of my least favorite episodes of the entire show, which also is directed by Hideaki Anno, and that was episode 6, because that was basically exactly what you said. That literally was the fucking manga panels, barely even animated. And I'm not even joking. It was one of those things. It's a cool gimmick, right? I don't dislike the effect of like manga panels. Like it's cool. You can kind of can be utilized really well to make a point.
It was utilized very well in Fooly Cooly, for instance.
Yes, yeah, right. And you can do some really cool effects with that as well, especially like some kind of cool transitions as well from scene to scene. And however, it was pretty much the entirety of episode 6. And there is a point where it becomes too much. And that was for me episode 6. It was fun right away. However, as the story progressed and he just kept going with this manga panel after manga panel after manga panel after manga, and I'm sitting there like, okay, I get it. That's enough. But they keep going.
I didn't care for it either as well. It got really, really irritating.
Yeah.
And we'll definitely go into the second half on a lot more of those types of feelings. Tori, what did you think of kind of the episodes themselves and what they touched on at the beginning there, that first half?
like I said, I really liked it. I thought it was really nice, the way to just the struggles of like identity and whatnot, right? Who you are you like who you make yourself be? It's like, and it's like, is your public persona versus your private persona, are they the same person, or is just one of them the real you and the other one's a mask? Like what makes the person, right? And how who you hang out with and other people around you will affect the person that you are, which is very well, portrayed through especially Miyazawa and Arima, because they very much do affect each other. Right?
And that's what a relationship does.
Yeah, like Miyazawa, right? Because she gets the perfect guy, and she realizes that he likes her no matter what. She kind of gets the confidence to realize that she doesn't necessarily have to be the perfect girl all the time, because he doesn't have to impress her. Technically, he can impress. No, technically, she can impress her, right? No, she can impress him. I mean, sorry, because technically, like, he does better than her. So it's one of those things. Same thing. Arima is kind of Miyazawa's mask come off, and realize that she has a different personality to her, and that she is like not her public appearance and her private appearance are two different people, but it's all the same people, and he kind of gets more, sees a more intimate side of her, and that kind of cracks him, because he's like, but like that kind of makes him discover a different self, and like you said, he's kind of afraid of that, because he's like, he has kind of been so used to being the perfect student and being himself, that's like kind of discovering a different side of himself, and at first, like, it scares him, because it's, who is this person? Is this still me? Is this person a piece of shit? Is it okay for me to be this person? Which in turn later kind of deals into the whole him having struggles, kind of discarding his past, and like his past self and his past hurt that still clings on to him.
Kind of.
I'm not saying they portrayed it well, but that's kind of where they're going with it.
Yeah.
That kind of got left out in the dark, sadly.
All right, Hickey, what about you?
Well, first, this morning I read a little bit of the manga. I can say that aside from some dialogue and some jokes, it's pretty much the same thing. Although I think the jokes in the manga, they are more romance driven than the ones in the anime. The anime is more pure comedy. It doesn't feel like rom-com. It doesn't feel like a rom-com. Put that aside, I think, like always, when portraying the inner self of a person, he did a great job. The anxiety of, what if, Arima said he loves me, but what if he doesn't love me anymore? What if he was joking about it? When Miyazawa realized that Arima is genuine, he's not faking like her. He's this actually really good guy, and coming to terms of loving him and being loved. So I think this is a good. That was good. I think in the manga this is portrayed well, but Ano did a good job making it better. Let's say adapting it. The problem lies ahead, I think. The first half is amazing. I don't have any complaints about it. Problem lies ahead.
Where the show started going downhill for me was around episode 10, and that was the introduction of the character Tsubasa. And for those who not familiar, Tsubasa is this real tiny character girl who is rambunctious and essentially a brat, and it's the character whose father's going through a remarriage. They focus on her more than the main characters the last 3 episodes, and that takes us out of Ano and into the second half. And we're immediately followed with 2 or 1.5 recap episodes. We notice a crazy amount of, as Tori would say, the overuse of manga panels.
Mm-hmm.
Arima is not even in the show anymore. He goes off for a month and a half long kendo training, so he's not even in the show. Although there was about 5 minutes of an episode where Yukino or Miyazawa was trying to talk to him on the phone, and she started feeling that disconnection with him. If they would have done more of that, it would have been, I think, done better. But the fact is, it felt like a lot of episodes in between were filler and were needlessly not there, or didn't need to be there. It's better said. We immediately see a massive change in tone in the anime. It's no longer comedic. It's now solely serious. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, it definitely wasn't done right. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I could go on and on over a couple more things, but I'd like to hear what not only Joe thinks but Tori thinks over this. Let's go with episode 13 now to 18, because that's, as Joe, I think you dubbed it as the summer arc or something.
Essentially.
Or the training arc?
Essentially.
Something.
It's basically
essentially,
what it is.
Arima's not there. And what's happening? What did you guys think of this part of the show?
This is where it all kind of started, to quote another Anno work, tumbling down, tumbling down, tumbling down. It seems like I greatly enjoyed that they actually sent Arima away and had Yukino kind of deal with it. It's Miyazawa. Deal with it. You started to notice that Arima's very possessive of their relationship. He's very obsessive about her. And though it wasn't exactly...
Well, that happened a little later.
Well, it happened right around episode 18.
Yeah.
When
he
you
came
start...
back.
Yeah.
He came back at episode 18. Yeah, correct. And I want to go into 18 separately,
Well,
if you guys don't
he
mind.
came back.
That was...
He came back in episode 17. At the end of 17 was when he
The-
showed
well,
And he
the
came
end
at
of
episode
17,
18.
No,
Butt stuff.
Yeah, I do want to go into the singular. I wrote down rough moments and favorite episodes, and 18 is one of them, and there's a couple more from the beginning that were probably the highlights of the show. But yeah, like you said, this is where it started tumbling down. Is right at that 13 mark.
Right.
So keep going, Joe.
Basically, right. You could definitely feel the tonal change, and I can't exactly blame Tsurumaki, the director, for this, because I believe what happened was now this is all just me guessing because you don't know what goes on in studios, but I assume that the mangaka started putting pressure on the production committee, and the production committee started putting pressure on Anno to change it to the way that they wanted it to be, which was kind of more straight-laced, less proper comedy, more shoujo, essentially, is how I would explain it.
Mm-hmm.
And Anno probably wanted nothing to do with it. To be honest, the dude's a little nuts. So I think he started getting very hands-off. But because he was freaking out for those episodes, 10, 11, 12, before he just stopped getting main directorial credit to the series, I think once Tsurumaki took over, he was kind of up shit's creek because he had to play it straight, or they would get rid of him too, and it would be a bigger shit show than it was. So like I said, he's a strong director. He's done co-direction for End of Evangelion. He was doing screenplays for, I believe, Nadia of Blue Water.
Okay.
He's the main director of Fooly Cooly. He's not a weak director. The problem is, I believe that they kind of had their hands tied with what they could do for the second half of the series. Because the first half was put together so strongly that I can't just assume, it's all going to fall apart like that for no reason and stay just crumbling the whole time with a staff that's that talented, a set of directors that are that talented. I can't just assume that they completely broke, like, their, quote, character just to wind up at the end when it's just manga panels, and I feel like the end of the series was a big fuck you to the mangaka, essentially.
It was. I've seen some animes fall hard, but within an episode, to see this drop in not only quality but also storytelling was outstanding to witness. Now my entertainment factor was plummeted to as bottom as you could get. It was flabbergasting what had happened in the show, especially going from something I generally enjoyed. I enjoyed, as said before, we all did. We enjoyed the tough topics that they kept going on. We liked what they were doing with Yukino and Arima's cross relationship and how they affected each other's lives, and then basically to not even have our two main characters in the show anymore, and focusing on essentially side characters. I brought it up with Tsubasa. It was all about her. Why should we care about her? She's just this random person.
And that's my
It's in the manga. That's why.
And that's my problem. I can't believe that people who would adapt stories the way that these people adapt them are just all of a sudden have a hard break, and it just so happens to line up with where there was issues with creative differences, and I can't just not say anything about it because it's the writing's on the wall, patently obvious that these people.
There was even another character introduced that I didn't even know why he was bothered to introduce, and that's Asuba, this pretty boy with a ponytail. What the hell was the point of this character?
I have a feeling should the story have continued after 26 episodes, he was going to be relevant.
Probably.
But
then why? But he was introduced in like episode 4, and like nothing happened. There was just this comedic moment between him and Yukino, and then the problem was solved, and then they moved on, and they were best friends. I was like, what was the point of that then?
Well, I guess
you have to remember we got a third of the story.
Yeah.
Well, also,
But I think where it's like really where like the as Joe said, where they essentially just give like big middle finger to the creator is essentially, in my opinion, the second to last episode, which is so like appropriately titled "A Different Story from Up to Now." And that is a filler episode that has absolutely nothing to do with story. And I'm pretty sure that was just when they finally went, no, you know what? Screw this. I've had it.
I messaged. Okay, so I think we're getting into the crux of the show here, because I do want to skip episode 18. We can go 19 to end. And
14 days. That's goddamn.
Wow.
14 days.
Wow. So to give the audience here an understanding of where we're going with this, we're introduced to a new character called Takafume, and his relationship or quest for revenge, because he was a picked on fat kid as a child by a girl. Doesn't this sound familiar? Doesn't it?
It might.
It sounds like an entire show we just had in the winter of 2017 here, called Masamune's Revenge. It's almost like that entire show was based off of this character, and that's Takafume. And he's out for revenge over this girl that picked on him, and it's the last 7 episodes of the show, with, as Tori said, a filler as the second to last episode, and a recap the episode before that, before we get a final episode. First of all, no. Because now in the second half, we're up to almost 4 episodes of recap, plus a filler.
Yep.
Yes. Including
the quality of animation being completely absent. Nothing's animated anymore. It's all black and white, and it looked like sketches to me. It wasn't even a manga panel anymore. It was just straight sketches of the characters.
They couldn't be asked to do anything anymore. And in my opinion, I'm pretty sure this is where like the conflict rises, where the mangaka's differing opinions, and probably putting pressure on the production committee was putting pressure on them, telling them to keep changing stuff. Where it eventually, like where the recap episodes come into play as well, because essentially at a certain point, deadlines catch up to productions, And then I feel like eventually they just came to that point where it's like, we're pretty much working on a week-to-week basis to put out episodes. It's not going to work. Like,
And
that
it
never
was
so bad.
works.
It was a very weird release schedule because between when Anno stopped and Tsurumaki picked up, there was no break. That was 1 week. He had to totally change the story. I believe it was like 6 days he had to get the next episode out.
What a disaster.
Absolutely. That's...
Hickey, what do you got?
Like, the show ends.
I'm gonna lose it if I keep talking here for a
The
second.
show ends 10 minutes in episode 24. What can I say about it? Like, I was wait, that's it? What? I think it was really, really bad. Although I think the last episode 26, is very poetic. I'll give them that. At least they tried. But oh my god.
At least they tried. I can't even say they did that much, honestly.
Seriously. Oh my god, what was that?
What did you take away from the last 7 episodes? Because I have
Nothing. It was
something written down here.
everything
I'd like-
went weird, and then like you have episode 17, which is I don't know, paper cuts, animation, something like that, and nothing happens. You have Arima.
Oh yeah, animated on popsicle sticks. Hell yeah.
You have Arima becoming a fucking psychopath in the corner, and
Yeah.
more comedy, like really, really weird comedy. At least was fully coolly like comedy, but you have this weird comedy going on, and you don't know what is happening. So then Arima has a epiphany, and suddenly he's like, "Oh shit, I'm good. I know what I'm doing, and I want to be with her." Nothing is resolved. Tonami, I think he's a good character, and yes, it's the manga does the same thing aside from Narima's epiphany. I didn't think it was a good ending. I'll never think it was a good ending. I hope I never see an anime after this one that flunks so bad at the ending.
Tori, what did you take away? I took away that the last 7 episodes were awful. I don't even agree with Iki that the new guy, I don't even remember his name.
Takafume.
Takafume. I don't think he's a good character either. He is literally just the guy who shows up and is like, I was bullied. I'm gonna get revenge. And then he falls in love with the girl and he wants to get revenge on. It's like, I was so angry at the end. I hated it. And probably the funniest thing to me was episode 26, the last episode, where you can just tell everyone's given up. Even the voice actors and actresses have given up. Do you remember the last episode? Do you listen to the voice actors when they say their lines or whatever? They don't have lines. They say he says, she says, and then they disperse and they meet. And it's like there is no acting, there is no emotion. Everything they say is monotonous. Nobody cares anymore. Everyone has given up on this production at this point. It was just so clear that this is where it's going to end. Because you just can tell everyone has given up. This show is dead.
Which really speaks volumes to the absolute nightmare the production must have been up to this point.
I'm surprised that Hideaki Anno didn't kill himself after this.
Oh my god.
Well, he was on the roof, just trying to take that step off.
So the only thing I took from this last arc was we got to see Arima be overcome with jealousy, which is a real thing.
Of course it is.
People go through that in relationships. It's a real thing. But you didn't need 7 episodes. The way it was handled with Takafume was bad at best. I can't even begin to say what was good about the entire second half except 1 episode. And even then that was still sketch art.
Yeah.
So, needless to say, we all hate the second half. It's garbage. Correct?
Yep.
Yes.
Or Joe, do you have a different opinion over that?
It's not incredibly different. I can kind of see, like, I can prod out where Tsurumaki was trying, but ultimately his hands were still tied and there was nothing he could do. You could definitely feel his directorial presence in episode 18, which is what I assume we're about to start talking about. But other than
Yes.
that, I feel like he was so weighed down with what he could do, what they would let him do, that he might as well have not even been there. They might as well have just not had a director, because it didn't fucking matter what he did or what he said or what he tried to do. It feels like this production was just taken away. It just was taken away from them. They had no real part in it besides just doing the work. They were treated like robots. And yeah, just get your coins out and start putting some coins into the animators' backs, because that's how animation works. And that's basically how I feel about it. Whereas I feel like he strong-armed his way into episode 18, and you can really feel it because it's so drastically different from the episodes surrounding it and the episodes that come after, that I feel like that's where the series is done. That's where it stopped. And then it turned into bullshit.
Ended, for sure. I would like to say that I would, before we go into probably the 3 best episodes, and we'll end with 18, is this show should have been 10 episodes. The first 9, ignore Tsubasa even coming in, just have 9 episodes and end with episode 18. And possibly show like a good 5 minutes of Arima going away to camp and
just
showing
clip show,
Yukino, and Yukino growing apart, and then going from there. So they probably could have maybe stretched that into then 11 episodes.
I don't know.
And that would have been basically a by standard anime standards today, a full season.
A tight one core, yeah.
Well, I think
A tight 1 core, and that would have been really good.
I think the show is fine up until when the recap episode starts happening. I think the show is still doing okay.
That's still like half the show.
That is half the show. Yes,
That isn't okay.
My problem is I like
that is
2/3
okay.
of the
I still
series.
think that's half the show. The problem is the second half is irrelevant to me. That doesn't matter. But if I still
doesn't need to
like
exist.
I still like half the show. I can't take that away. No matter how much I hate that second half, I can't take away the fact that I still like the first half. Like, that doesn't go away. Nothing has been, like, the jokes and what I liked about the first episode hasn't been taken away. They just, it stops there. And then it's like you have this second half that, to me, it might as well be something completely different. It's irrelevant. It's fluff.
Yeah. It really was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
So, the 3 episodes I have written down is, the first one is the Confessions episode, where they finally confess each other's feelings and they decide to start dating.
Okay.
Any thoughts on that episode?
I like that it was just genuine. I don't like I appreciate the way most things are done in this series when the adaptation is given they're given the creative liberty to do what they literally do for a job.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they're all very knowledgeable in what they do. So when it comes to, I think that was, what was that, episode 4 or 5?
4.
4? Okay. So you have a confession in 4 episodes, and you still feel like that's a genuine, real confession. 4 episodes into a series, we might get a confession, and we might get some hand-holding today, by today's standards. So I think it's very refreshing to go back and see a series where they just picked up the ball and fucking ran with it as soon as they could, and still gave it that weight that you knew it was real.
Tori?
Yeah, no, I kind of agree. I think, that's actually what they do well. To me, what always comes up when it comes to confessions episodes and the time when you confess, it's like, it's always kind of it always depends on what's been done beforehand, right? And that's where I feel like I said earlier, they do such a good job at like showing how these characters like get together, how they're like connect to each other. That is like when the confession finally happens, it's like, yes, it makes sense. I understand. Again, I said this earlier. I don't think, to me, that I necessarily think that the most logical conclusion is that they will then immediately fall in love with each other, and that there's like, oh, there's definitely a relationship here. But I understand the connection.
Right. Hickey?
I agree with both of them.
Struggling with technology?
Kind of. I always struggle with technology. But anyway, I think it was a good, at least one of the scenes of the show was a good confession scene. I need to give this one to the mangaka. It was the same thing in the manga.
Uh-huh.
It felt genuine, not that much genuine, but I think it's interesting how to see how the feelings of Miyazawa progresses in such short time. You know, of course it's not a short time because she's interacting with Arima since the beginning of the year. I don't remember when it happened, but she always had an eye on him as a adversary.
Well, it's about as genuine as a 10th grader could really give.
Right.
Yes.
And I appreciate the time frames in between everything. How everything did end up going down. How she began with hating him. Arima admired her from a distance. Leading up to the confession, I thought it was more. I didn't think it was totally genuine, but it was definitely believable. The next episode I have written down is the one where the teacher gets involved in their relationship, where because they're both model students, and this brought up a question in the episode, as well as how the parents look at their children dating, how teachers get involved in your own personal business, how Japan specifically looks at rankings and trying to interfere. They want their school to look good and continue to go that way. That was a really, really well done episode. Joe, thoughts?
I really appreciated the father's take, just kind of standing up and saying, essentially, how dare you get in the way of my child's emotional upbringing? You're a teacher. You're here to teach them. That's all you're here to do. It's a very Western thought process to have towards school compared to what I'm used to seeing in the East. But I'm very, I really like it because I caught it at I connect to that at a very emotional level. I mean, my girlfriend and I have been together since we were in 10th grade. So if that would have happened to me, I know I would have felt like garbage, and me and my teachers would not have a very good relationship. I would be almost self-sabotaging myself to ruin it for them.
Right.
So I really appreciated the Miyazawa's father coming through for that.
So the setting up the scene then, what ends up happening is it starts off with Yukino and Arima have their they took a test, and they've been dating and kind of just being teenagers essentially, not studying as much as maybe they normally would have, or actually that's true, because Yukino even goes like, I didn't really study, I was having too much fun being with Arima, and Yukino's in like 13th place and Arima's down to 4th, and they were 1-2 students. They were ranked 1-2, period. Essentially like book rivals, you might say. So that's when the teacher then gets involved, calls him in. Do you know why you're here? Your grades have significantly dropped. And just from my own personal experience with kind of bullshit like that, it's like, are you kidding me? Like 4th out of how many kids or 13th out of how many kids is all of a sudden bad? Like, come on. But in Japan, they care about that shit. And the teacher wants them to break up, and they both stand up for themselves and go, no, we'll even prove you otherwise that we'll get our grades back up. Kind of being stubborn about it. The teacher then takes that extra step that really butts into their business and calls both of their parents to have a conference to tell the parents to tell their kids to break up. And that's where Joe's mentioning here of what he went through and how he related to the topic. Any other thoughts, Joe?
Not exactly. I mean, I I just thought it was really nice to see people, aren't just gonna sit there and take it, because we're so used to in anime, everyone getting treated like shit. Like, just getting treated like ass by people who are ahead of them. And sitting there and taking it.
Yeah, just because they're older makes them wiser immediately. And that's not the case. Always.
And like you were saying, they're 4th and 13th out of a school that, this is the 90s in Japan, it probably has 600 kids in it.
Right.
Well, I don't think there's a college that would say no to number 4 and number 13 on a school that has really high marks. I really don't think that. Like, would it have been the same if they fell to 3rd and 4th? Would they still have the same problem? And honestly, I couldn't care less what that teacher wants for a bonus at the end of the year. I don't care what makes him think that he has that authority to do that. What I do care about is when he did take this one step too far and call the parents still stood by their kid's decision.
I was actually really surprised by that, honestly. I didn't think for 1 second that's what was actually going to happen, and that really made me feel for the scene even more. Tori, Hickey, what do you guys... How about we start with Hickey on this one? What did you think about it?
Well, I just thought the parents were amazing. It was the time to shine. I think I understand the teacher side. I think they are on school to study. It's not to go forth and something like that. The teacher, it's his job to care for his students, and in a sense, he was caring for them, telling, look, you are still young, you have a lot of time in your life, please study, do your tests, go well on your tests, you guys like our hope, and then you can, when you're outside here, you can, have fun, whatever, but at the moment you're doing tests, for example, because they were goofing off during the tests, you should study. And if you can concentrate while we are on this period, you guys should break up and concentrate. Of course, I get his side, but I don't think he handled very well. They were like, no, we are role students. It's not that bad because it's 4th and 13th. It's not a bad fall. But the teacher was like, no, that's unacceptable. I was like, no, it's kind of not. Like Joe said, they hinted that this school is actually pretty difficult to enter. I think the characters we're talking about.
And for all we know, all they did was miss one question more on the test. It's like, come on.
Yeah. So I think the father, you have especially Yukino's father and mother. They're very they always goofing around, and then you have this moment of him being actually serious about it and saying, look, I think my children make the right decision, and I think I will support them. Then we go on to his story, her parents' kind of backstory, and you understand why he's like that.
Because he literally met her mother in the same way.
Yeah, and he passed by a very difficult moment during high school, and if it wasn't for her mother, he didn't know what would happen.
I honestly would have appreciated that episode much more if it was either directly after this episode or it cut to it in the middle and this episode was extended to 2 episodes. That way we could understand. I think that would have impacted us as the viewer more from that perspective. But yeah, exactly. Her father shined, and where Arima's father, adopted father, came through was because the teacher was like, okay, last hope is him, and he just goes, you notice the women didn't say anything. I found that ridiculous. But the Arima's adopted father goes, look, he's basically number 1 in the class. He's never done anything to cause us worry or he does everything on his own. He's the ideal son. Why would we now interfere in his life? when all the choices he's made previously have been the right ones. I was like, wow, that is a very mature way of looking at even your son. Tori, what do you got?
No, like, what I thought about that episode was, immediately, I didn't like that moment when I got called in, because it's kind of just hits on me, my problem with, like, Japanese society in general, where it's like, you know,
Right.
that whole, where it's like, you're still young, like, right now you're doing tests, you're studying, you should be doing well, right? So you should make a future for yourself when you go out of here, and then you can start pursuing relationships, and then you can start having fun. The problem with that is, of course, that mindset is, you can do this later, just not now. Well, then they start going out of school, they try to find jobs, they try to apply for college, and then they get separated, or even if they don't, they end up going to the same school, and getting similar jobs and stuff. Then it's like, then the same thing happens there. It's like, no, you can't do that now. You have to focus when you're here. You have to focus on going to college and getting good grades so that you can get a good job, or you have to focus on your job so that you can rise up in the system. And it's kind of like, it's always that you can like romance stuff and anything that you can do it later. You can do it later. Like, kind of.
Yeah, so when is the fun gonna happen kind of deal?
Never.
When
You're
is
not
later?
supposed to have fun. You're not supposed to have fun.
Yeah.
You're always working for somebody else. You're like a cog in the machinery. Like, that's,
You're supposed to
just
die
supposed
working.
spinning. Yeah, essentially. Right. So I didn't appreciate that. When the parents stood up, and I was like, yes, thank you, finally. Like, that's something I've been missing a lot from anime in general, and just somebody who's like, you can't stop people from being people. You can't say, no, you can't do this. You have to make me look good, right? You can't do that. You can't just stop people from living their life. That's not, like, it's not a good thing. It's not healthy for the Japanese society in general. You want more workers.
No, it's not.
You want more workers in the future, don't you? Well, you can't just always have people working. You have to let them.
Well, they need to bang.
Yeah.
They need to bang so you can have another person to teach.
Yep. Apparently, though, Japan would probably much prefer, even though they don't even really allow for that. But I think Japan would probably like it a lot more if they could, like, I don't know, never have sex, never get kids, and just adopt people from other places. I guess, is that how they want to do things? Adopt other people's unwanted kids.
And speaking of sex,
well, I do. Before we go into speaking of sex, Joe, you mentioned how you could relate to that moment personally, just because you're still with the girl you dated in high school around that same age.
yes,
correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and just, I mean, I can only imagine if a teacher or even your parents would get involved in something like that, especially if you're already making good grades.
Well, yeah, my problem is I don't talk to my parents, but
Well, just hypothetically,
yeah, well,
if that
yeah.
would have happened.
But I did get really good grades in high school, so having that happen to me would have really, really thrown me off course. I would have really just stopped caring, because I already didn't study in high school at all and still passed everything, still had a 4.0 GPA. So I'm one of the lucky few that didn't have to try. But I'm also very personal with myself. If someone tries to get in my business, I tend to just kind of stick it to them in a roundabout sort of way. I don't care about how they feel or how they look at something. It's not their life to decide. So I'm a very, I'm kind of like cynical and mean about it when stuff like that happens, because I don't want it to happen. It's not your life to live, it's mine. Stepping on my toes, spitting in my face is not a good idea. It's not gonna work out for anyone. I'm gonna start acting like an asshole, and you're not gonna like me, and then we're just gonna be on bad terms because I'm a dick. Well, you shouldn't have stepped on my toes. That's basically how I see things like that.
No, yeah, and there's definitely, I really appreciated Arma and Yukino kind of sticking up for themselves and what they believe in, and I've been there multiple times in school myself. When I made the life-changing decision to move to Germany, twice, and I had teachers and counselors telling me don't do it. Essentially, they're saying that they're better than them, and that goes into a whole, like, the whole I'm American, I'm better than you mindset.
Oh, thanks, man.
Well, I'm American. I know it. But like you said, if you're going to have someone tell you differently, and kind of want to force your hand, then that just motivates you even more to do the opposite.
Mm-hmm. It's literally
So-
the basis of reverse psychology.
Yeah.
Is there a football game going on, Hickey?
I don't know what's going on actually, but there's someone screaming on the
I
street.
believe you live in Brazil, and that's what's happening.
That's funny. So now, yeah, I think we can all relate in some way to someone kind of butting in our business, and I just really appreciated that episode. I had to bring it up personally. Now for probably arguably the best episode, not the best animated, but the best episode is episode 18, titled Progression, or otherwise known as Evolution. And man, show should have ended there, shouldn't it?
Yeah, you might be right.
Yeah.
Would have been a nice point.
So setting up the scene
Setting up the bed.
is,
The best.
well, Arima's gone through a growth spurt. He's come back from camp, and even Yukino is going through kind of this emotional change because she hasn't seen him in so long. Arima's now, he looks like a man now. And I appreciated the new character art they gave him. They made him a little bit taller. They gave him slightly broader shoulders. His hair wasn't juvenilely like covering his eyes anymore. He seemed more mature, a deeper voice. Like everything seemed older about him. And even Arima's personality, he knew what he wanted. He says, "I want to feel Yukino. I want to have our skin touch.
Ooh.
I don't want to just kiss you anymore." And that's what real people go through. And Yukino wanted the same, but coming from her circumstances, she's scared of feeling too much. There's a time when she's even scared to touch him. She's overcome with so much emotion, she can't talk to him properly anymore. And there became real rift. I've been there. Joe, have you been there? Hickey, Tori, have you guys kind of been in that similar situation?
Nope.
Well, I'm very confident in myself. It's to like a narcissistic degree. So no, I've never really been in that situation.
Well, maybe not to Yukino, but Arima was the opposite. He wanted more.
Oh yeah, I constantly want more. I understand Arima at a deep, deep level.
Well, I mean, we're guys, so us relating to the male character, his circumstance, is much more relatable to us. But the way even Yukino as a female, even us as males could even relate to what she was going through.
Yes. I know people that still like don't have, I don't want to say confidence in themselves, but in a roundabout sort of way, that is what I'm saying. Like, I know people that, aren't confident. They don't know that, if I want this, I can do it. They kind of like play themselves down constantly. And to me, that is Yukino's character. Her character is the person who's so unconfident in herself that she sits there and belittles everything she does, not understanding that she's the reason why they happen.
Oh, she even beats herself up hard about it because she does have that realization, like, shit, I fucked up. Now I'm possibly ruining this good thing that's going for me. There's even a setup near the middle of the episode where Arima basically takes the dive and goes in, kisses her, and fuck all if it had to be, might as well have been flash clip art or something out of MS Paint, where it showed his hand and then it clips, his hand's now lower, clips, his hand's now on her chest, and then it clips to them staring at each other, and then he just goes, "I'm sorry." I'm like, oh my god, okay, I get what you're doing, but fuck, it was so bad. Like, if it was animated at all, I would have been like, okay, great. And then it moves. It has a lot of emotional impact from there, and then finally, through a ton of symbolism in between, they do the birds and the bees. They get down to business. Wake up next morning naked next to each other. And they realize they've basically taken the next step in their life, and I think the the culminating moment was definitely, for me at least, was Yukino was in the bathtub and she kind of gives like a fist pump of yes, I did it.
I did it.
She's like, oh, I fucking banged him. Yes. I really loved that moment. I was like, all right, because Arima wakes up first, and it's like 7 a.m, and he's like, oh shit! If our parents came home, that would have been really bad. Because he's the guy, he's got to think of that. Meanwhile, Yukino didn't give two shits. She's like, I overcame my insecurity, and I did it. Everyone, go nuts with your thoughts from there. I made mine.
No, I really do like the way things are, like, not portrayed because the animation is garbage, but the way that they come across, the way that they come across, I really appreciate. And I have nothing but positive things to say about an anime that has the balls to take the next step, because I really don't like this will they, won't they bullshit that happens. I vehemently despise romance series that end with, like, a fucking high five and a confession. I think that's pathetic. You build yourself as a romance. Show me romance. Like, every story doesn't have to be The Notebook, but I mean, at least put forth what you said you were gonna give me. Don't recreators me. Don't say it's action and give me dialogue.
Mm-hmm. Now, my opinion on like that episode, and that's like, I feel like this is where one of those episodes where I feel like kind of that part of myself and like kind of self-hatred comes out a little bit, because this is not an episode I particularly care for, especially, and one of those reasons is because I feel like that moment that you were talking about, that moment where Miyazawa like realizes that she's fucking up and everything, and she's not really doing, like, that awkward tension that comes. I feel like where my own kind of like self-hatred kicks in, because I'm the sort of person who would be exactly that. I kind of can't do that. I have problems with my self-confidence. I cannot believe that I can put forth like enough willpower and action to actually accomplish something. I feel like I need that extra. It kind
of had the opposite effect.
Yeah,
of you
so I feel like I am the sort of person that needs that like extra push. I can do a lot of stuff on my own, and I don't necessarily lack self-confidence. It's not like I sit there and think of everything that I can't do. I can do it, but I just have these like stupid little things that just I freeze up, and I like my brain just go no, you don't know what you're doing. You have no idea what this is about.
Tori, are you telling me that you're different than us?
No, I am not. I'm just saying I have troubles getting. I have problems getting over these things. I think,
no, I can understand that.
I have a very hard time myself. I have a very hard time getting over these things. For a lot of people, I feel like it's probably like it's something a lot of people have dealt with at some point. It's just some people kind of either manage to get over it, or they put in a situation where they have to get over it. I feel like I'm the sort of person who kind of pulls back, and I decide not to go there. As I hate that, but that's kind of what it always comes back to. And that's like, I felt that watching this episode, where I'm immediately going like, this is that moment where I would just immediately go like, nah, I can't do this.
Hits you hard in another way.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Like, I mean, even if it hits you that way, it does then, it's doing its job then, even from the opposite emotional perspective.
Definitely, like, it's not a bad episode. Yeah. I'm not saying that I didn't hate the episode, but it's one of those, like, it creates, like, conflicting emotions within me, where I'm like, yes, this is exactly what I want. Yet at the same time, it comes back to that whole, like, I understand Miyazawa and her desire to run away. And then it's kind of like,
so
she gets cornered.
You relate more to her?
I relate more to her situation, yes. I'm kind of like her realizing that you're fucking up, and that's like, what you're doing now is counterintuitive to what you actually want. It's just very hard. And then kind of gets that, but she kind of gets that broken.
I suppose it is very hard.
Yeah. Okay, Hickey, we haven't heard from you over this. Yeah, we haven't heard from you over this episode yet.
Well, first of all, I think it's unfortunate that episode 18 is in the middle of the shithole. Unfortunately, I think it would be. It was a waste. Second of all, I think it was a very believable situation. You know, the rain and Arima just go. You know, it's raining a lot, and my house is closer to here, and my parents are at home. Like, oh shit. You know, Arima.
And eventually he just sticks to, you know what, fuck it.
Yeah.
Arima.
Well, they had that moment where they look at each other and they're like blushing, like, yeah, we know where this is going.
I think it's a turning point for Arima as well. I think it's. Well, he realized soon that he can't go on without Miyazawa, but I think this episode is also.
Oh man, yeah. I'm sorry. I'm going to interrupt you. You actually reminded me of something else I have. After everything and Yukino's in the bathtub, he's meanwhile in the room, going through kind of an opposite emotion where he doesn't think he deserves that kind of happiness, and he actually pukes because now he's sick of himself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, if they actually went beyond that in the other episodes, maybe the ending would have been better, but they didn't do much with it. Oh.
So yeah, it's another turning.
Anyways,
yeah,
go on,
it's
Hickey,
another.
I'm sorry, I interrupted
Don't
you.
worry about it. It's another turning point for Arima. You know, he realizes that I can't live without her. Then he goes, he does the job, if you know what I mean. And like you said,
You can say he banged
yeah,
her.
he banged her.
He took her to missionary
But
school.
then, you know,
Brought her to Browntown.
the other Arima, which is not even, it's not the mask, it's not the real Arima, it's this other Arima that goes, oh, do you think this was special? Do you think now you can still love her? You know, he has a lot of doubts. And I think it's like I said, this is a weird episode. Not because you had episode 17 before, which was a clusterfuck, but also episode 19 after that, which is, I don't know what happened in episode 19, but you know, it's this, you go back to the first core. It goes back to the first core. You have Arima dealing with the self-rejection kind of thing. And while, you know, in the other hand, you have Yukino going all out with, yeah, I banged him. So I think it's one of the few episodes of this series where Arima and Yukino are treated differently. This show, it says, look, they are different, but the show always treats them as the same thing, which is completely wrong. What?
And in the aftermath, you tend to get like what most men will go through mentally, where they'll just beat the shit out of themselves as soon as something happens, as soon as they start doubting something. Whereas Yukino, being female, is more likely to, like, you know, celebrate victory, be more happy with herself. And it's kind of just this it's this weird psychological thing where people just kind of tend to beat themselves up, at least in my experience.
No,
You know,
don't worry about it.
Man, I really do tend to see myself in Arima during that scene, particularly, where you just sit there and go, do I deserve this? Do I really deserve this? I mean, I'm kind of a piece of shit on the inside. Do I deserve any of this?
Yeah.
And you go through that in your head a couple times, and it just starts spiraling out of control. So I see eye to eye with Arima in this episode. Whereas Miyazawa is all happy, and she kind of pulls you back. She pulls you out of that, like, that rut that you get in watching and seeing Arima and, you know, understanding what he's going through. She's the one that pulls you away from it and just puts you back on course for the series.
Agreed.
Well said, everybody. We're approaching the end of the show here. I would like to get everyone's score over the show now.
Okay.
Joe, since you watched, this was your suggestion, you can go first.
All right. Well, I my original watching of this, I caught it on, I believe, the Funimation channel a couple years ago, and by a couple years, I mean like 2008. I originally gave it an 8. After
Okay.
rewatching this, my taste is much harsher. Even though I see eye to eye with things, I see way too many problems to score it anywhere near that high. I changed my score to a 6. I still
Okay.
enjoyed more than half of the series, but the half that I didn't enjoy was trash, and I can't look past that.
Tori?
Well, like I said earlier, I really enjoyed the first half of the show. It was a lot of fun. I don't yeah, I just adored it. Especially, I constantly compared it to Kimi ni Todoroki, which is actually another show we watched and I like. So it was like, and I was just like, this is an example of how you do it correctly. I love this. And then the second half happened, and kind of the entire emotion, my entire reaction to everything kind of flipped, and I was like, I hate this. I want this to end now. So it's like I've kind of been on both spectrums of it. Like, I loved it and I hated it. Luckily, nothing that I hate about it has taken away from what I liked about it, but nothing I like about it makes up for what I hate about it. So for me, it ends up on a 5.
Wow. Okay. So it ended up being an average show for you in the end when you put it all together.
Yeah, because I like half of it and I dislike the other half. So it's like, logically, that puts it right back in a neutral 5.
Yeah, it really speaks to how strong the first half was for how much we
Yeah.
disliked the second half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hickey?
When I started the show, I think I would give it a 7 or an 8 because it was actually pretty good. But like everyone said, the second half came and it's just goes down to the bottom hell. I can see any good points not only in the anime but also in the manga. I think it was a very huge mistake to make it to the 26 episode series, especially because like after the Tsubasa arc, nothing happens on the fucking manga until the play. So it will end with a 5 out of 10 because it's just I don't think I would recommend it to anyone. I think to go over 5, it's an anime I would like look at someone and say, oh yeah, I can recommend this show to someone, but this show I don't think I can recommend it to anyone. Still, it has some merits in the first half, the soundtrack, the animation, the direction, the comedy. So it's a 5.
Well, I guess finishing off with me.
No, we don't need your opinion. That's fine.
Senpai, senior person Joe,
Yep.
you thought I would give this the lowest score among us,
Yeah,
and you would be correct.
that's right.
I really liked, in total, 10 episodes out of the 26, and that makes a 3.8 percentage. 38% percentage, so that goes up to a 4 out of 10. I liked episode as much as I really enjoyed episode 18. It was garbagely animated.
And it's just too little, too late.
Too little, too late. As Hickey said, it's in between the clusterfuck of everything near that end. I thought the show died at episode right after episode 9, where Tsubasa was introduced. One joke, and then the rest of the episodes later was, I felt like a complete waste of my time, and I gave it a 4 out of 10. So that between all of us, it rounds up to a 5 out of 10.
Yep.
Or it is a 5
It's
out of 10.
literally
So. It's literally an average show where we all say the first half pretty much is the only thing worth watching, and episode 18.
Yeah, the first half could be an 8, and then the rest of the show is such a hard 2 that it's a 5.
It's, oh my god. So this well, I gotta say some other things. Hold on. This was brought to you by David's Tea here in Toronto. It's on Queen Street. Go drink a bunch of tea, buy some stuff there. It somehow supports the podcast. I'm not sure how that works financially, but that's what they do for us. And you can find the Red Leaf Retrocast anime and the Retro Gaming podcast all in one on iTunes, Google Play. You can find it on YouTube at Musenspiel and VidMe of the same name. Our audience is growing somehow. People want to listen to us bitch and complain. and talk up old shows.
I really think it's just because people are sick of everyone being positive over everything.
You might be onto something there.
Being negative doesn't have to be wrong, and I strongly think that being negative has its own merit. It's just as worthwhile as being positive about everything. In fact, more so.
And not everything's good.
That's right. Not everything is good, but everything has an audience.
Yes.
I don't have to be the audience.
Hit us up for questions. I'm hoping to get a good chunk together that we can go over in a future podcast. And speaking of future podcasts, if you do want to send us questions, there is a Discord that we're a part of, and the community will throw us there. But if you want to just directly send us questions, you can do that via YouTube comments. Leave us a review on iTunes or in Google Play at the Red Leaf Retrocast, and hit me up on Twitter or Senior Senpai Joe Person.
Hi, that's me.
What is your Twitter?
It's at fullmetal_LAX. I'm actually gonna.
And
I might try to make it easier.
Yeah, I am at Bowling JD. So hit us up. Maybe if you watched His and Her Circumstances or want to watch it, watch the first half at the very least. And our future episode is Tori's idea, where we're gonna go really out of character. Tori, what is our next topic?
Our next topic is going to be anime shorts. That's going to be anything from real shorts to short movies, basically anything out of the normal length. There will be a slight change, like in terms of dates. Usually we try to go aim for like pre-2000. However, I did add one short to the list, which is from 2002. But other than that, everything else is from pre-2000.
Monster! How dare you?
I know. I'm sorry.
So I'm looking forward to that. That's a good topic. I'm not sure when we'll record it. When we come up with great debate ideas, that's probably when it'll happen. Might be a week or two. We got some holidays coming up. Summer vacation. Everyone's busy these days. There has been multiple suggestions that we watch a retro hentai and we discuss it. So that's looking like it's on the plate for the future.
Yeah.
And we do not have a Patreon. We don't plan on getting a Patreon because we're sponsored. We don't give a shit about receiving other people's money. We're not going to put hentai on paid service only. This is for an audience and our pleasure.
Winky
Maybe
face.
your pleasure, but
Oh man, we'll see what happens. I've never seen a hentai probably before. What was it, La Blue Girl from like '99 or something? Whenever that came out.
Do you know which one we're gonna watch?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't. Someone's gonna say something, I'm sure.
Let's watch the
and
Tezuka. Let's do it.
So this has been Red Leaf Retrocast, episode 3 of the anime. We did His and Her Circumstances, and I guess we'll get some music to play us out. We'll figure that out. Thank you.
Peace.
peace.
Goodbye, everyone.